Participating in the virtual competition, the formidable man with the summoner ID of Jiang Yaben confidently grabbed his shiny sword, prepared for the upcoming battle. While pursuing his opponents in the digital world, he ordered them to surrender, emphasizing his advantage as the only one around. However, his opponents, instead of capitulating, hastily fled to save their lives. In an effort to quickly end the game fight, he skillfully used the unbreakable Five Bloods technique, unleashing its power to destroy all opponents. Despite the victory, he was overcome with a feeling of dissatisfaction, as the lack of a serious challenge left him with an overwhelming feeling of loneliness as he sat in the chair in his room in front of the gaming computer. After his triumph, he polled his audience, trying to get confirmation of the spectacle he had staged in the game. He wanted them to tell him what they thought of the show. Watching the viewership numbers grow on his laptop, he was pleasantly surprised as the sudden influx of 37 viewers made him feel elated because he had never had that many viewers before. Taking advantage of this unforeseen opportunity, he made a solemn statement declaring his innocence, vowing never to resort to hacking, citing the relics of his grandfather for added emphasis. Contrary to his expectations, after his announcement, the number of viewers dropped to 0. Faced with this failure, he decided to abandon the attempt, realizing the futility of convincing anyone of his honesty. To add to his woes, his store had been languishing without customers all morning, and his savings were gradually dwindling with each passing day. Glancing at the portrait below, depicting him as the champion of the University Gaming League, he reflected on his past achievements. He used to be very happy and very famous. When viewing his portrait, there was not a trace of joy on his face. As he reflected on past events, he couldn't help but ponder the irony that if he hadn't been framed earlier, his current circumstances might have been completely different. Perhaps he could still be popular and rich, but things are completely different now. Initially recruited as a gaming virtuoso at the University of Siuxi, he received many accolades while enjoying success. People were jealous of his skills, but he didn't know that it would get out of control and tarnish his image. However, after his triumphant victory, a heinous setup irreversibly changed the trajectory of his life. As a popular gamer, you can hear about his victory, but not everyone was happy with him, because he was set up. Suspecting that jealousy was the motive, he believed that a man motivated by evil intentions was rewarded for tarnishing his once impeccable reputation. An official investigation accused him of cheating and found that he had an external program installed on his computer. This statement is categorically rejected as extraneous to his actions, which was established by someone else during the game. Banished from the gaming community, he became an object of ridicule and scorn, enduring ridicule and ridicule, forcing him to withdraw himself. No matter how much he tried to convince people that he didn't do it, no one believed him. Concurrent with these turbulent events, the death of his grandfather forced him to reunite with his grandmother, which prompted him to voluntarily give up his academic activities and return to his small hometown. Having inherited the family store left behind by his grandparents, he retreated from the complexities of good and evil, seeking solace in the familiar surroundings of his upbringing. Consequently, he found himself away from the former spheres of fame and fortune that had defined his former life. Lost in introspection, his thoughts were suddenly interrupted when an unknown person slammed his hand down on the table in his store. Turning on his heel, he turned around and asked the unsuspecting man if they harbored any inclinations towards acquiring goods. However, his attention was suddenly diverted when he saw a man who, with a rather strong movement, violently struck his hand on the unforgiving surface of the table. The inquisitive man, sensing a lapse in the shopkeeper's memory, ventured to wonder whether there had been an oversight, emphasizing that the purpose of the visit was not to carry out any commercial transactions. Zhang Ya found himself trapped in a web of confusion, prompting him to seek clarification regarding the commitment he had supposedly made. Subsequently, there was a collective demand that he fulfill the obligation he had supposedly made, the transfer of protection money, a promise that he was now obliged to fulfill. As the peculiar spectacle unfolded before their eyes, an air of dissatisfaction permeated the atmosphere, forcing the trio to ask a question that would question his sincerity. Did he harbor any intentions of breaking his word? In the maze of his own thoughts, Zhang Yai found himself scratching his chin absent-mindedly and puzzledly. Slowly, the fog of memory cleared, and it became clear that these three people had crossed paths with him in the digital world, in an internet cafe, begging him for something. Unfortunately, caught up in the addictive game, he impulsively agreed. Taking stock of his reaction, the trio, hinting at a possible escape, interrogated him about his willingness to flee. After releasing the results of their investigations, they revealed his identity as Jiang Yai. An ominous warning was in the air. If the protection fee remained unpaid, the consequences would be dire. Overcome by a surge of anger, Jiang Yai furiously demanded an explanation. An expression of anger etched across his face. The trio's accusing fingers pointed at a wall decorated with portraits of the faces of his late grandparents. Revelations followed. There were no more, and the trio stated that they already knew the deceased couple. A mockery danced across their faces as they revealed the origins of the store, once owned by the now deceased elderly duo. In a state of disbelief, Jiang Yai struggled with the sudden revelation, his teeth clenched, indicating his inner turmoil. Fueled by an incendiary mixture of emotions, he impulsively jumped over the table at the opposite end, the manifestation of his anger now materializing within the confines of the store. Grabbing one of the three by the collar, he asked them an angry question, challenging them to test his character. In response, he was derisively labeled a weak computer geek. A strong kick to Jiang Yai's chest left him writhing in agony, the physical pain now mixed with the turbulent emotions that surged within. The necklace adorning his neck, a symbol of some sentimental significance, gave way to an aggressive kick, its bindings snapping as it fell to the ground. The triumvirate, now united in their malevolent intentions, surrounded him with ridicule and laughter, the collision of his back with the crate that held an assortment of goods for sale adding a cacophony of confusion to the tense atmosphere. Recalling a previous encounter with an elderly man who stubbornly refused to remit payment, the trio enjoyed the memories, finding satisfaction in teaching the lesson. Vivid memories of his grandparents' smiling faces depicted as portraits on the wall intensified the cauldron of anger inside Jiang Yai, who had never expected such a blatant insult. The trio's intentions took an unexpected turn, abruptly changing their approach. Instead of persisting in seeking monetary compensation, they suddenly abandoned this pursuit. In an unforeseen turn of events, they now announced a different goal: to seize his property. This radical shift occurred because they felt that the resolution of their demands was being delayed. In the midst of this changed dynamic, a revelation occurred, like a sudden and unexpected flowering. One of the men, with a keen eye, noticed an object lying on the floor. This discovery immediately redirected his attention, causing him to focus on the mysterious object that had caught his interest. With extreme care, he picked up the fallen necklace, an artifact resembling a coin whose aesthetic was enhanced by the rope tied to it. Reflecting on its potential antiquity, he wondered whether it had monetary value. Watching this unfolding drama, Jiang Yai quickly rose from his seated position, spurred into action by the mere sight of the necklace the inquisitive man was holding. As tensions escalated, Jiang Yai loudly shouted at the people who had made off with his precious possessions, passionately and clearly demanding his return. He warmly informed them that the necklace was an integral part of his personal belongings, emphasizing that it clearly belonged to him. Determined to recover the stolen necklace, he took drastic action by laying his hands on the menacing statue within the confines of his store, intending to use it as a symbolic and practical tool of resistance in the inevitable confrontation. The ensuing altercation unfolded as he held the statue, delivering a decisive blow to the skull of one of his opponents, causing the necklace to inadvertently slip from the attacker's claws. Showing a quick reaction, Jiang Yai readily extended his hand, successfully intercepting the necklace's descending trajectory just moments before it could make a catastrophic impact on the ground below, safely sheltering it under the cover of his outstretched palm. The scene that unfolded saw a concerned reaction from onlookers as they rushed to their boss, who bore the physical brunt of the altercation, begging him to inquire about his well-being. Meanwhile, Jiang Yai remained stoically by his side, the crimson stream of blood flowing from the wound on his forehead in stark contrast to his gaze fixed on the found necklace. After the quarrel, the boss, nursing his injuries and holding a grudge, harshly criticized Jiang Yai and ordered his associates to retaliate. Despite his visible wounds, the boss continued to clearly articulate his instructions, the pain on his face highlighting his determination. Reacting to the boss's command, one of the main security forces took out a knife, assumed a threatening pose, and moved menacingly towards Jiang Yai, signaling the beginning of a new stage of the confrontation. The ensuing skirmish witnessed the concerted efforts of the attackers, who subjected Jiang Yai to a merciless barrage of blows devoid of any semblance of mercy. Defenseless amid their attack, Jiang Yai stoically endured the physical toll of the orchestrated attack. Succumbing to insurmountable pain, Jiang Yai found himself forced to get down on one knee. However, in a show of resilience, he made a poignant statement, asserting that despite his physical adversity, he stood steadfastly as a bastion of honor for his Kang family, while maintaining an unwavering grip on the returned necklace. The narrative took an unexpected turn when a sudden drop of Jiang Yai's own blood fell onto the surface of the tightly clasped necklace, causing a heavenly glow to emanate from its core. As if lost in a surreal reverie, Jiang Yai found himself captivated by the glowing spectacle unfolding before him, torn between awe and confusion as the necklace of coins exuded an unearthly luster, casting an otherworldly glow in his immediate vicinity. Stunned by the brightness of the radiance, Jiang Yai decided to cover his eyes, closing them, but he kept the radiant necklace held in his palm, becoming the unwitting epicenter of a phenomenon that defied understanding. The sudden cessation of the trio's physical attack was caused by their collective amazement at the inexplicable spectacle of a million challenges unfolding before them. Looking at Jiang Yai, bathed in the radiant glow emanating from the coin necklace, they were faced with deep questions regarding the source and nature of the luminous phenomenon. The transformative power of the necklace became even more pronounced as it continued to shine with a dazzling brilliance, extending its luminous tendrils skyward and taking on mysterious shapes that left onlookers paralyzed in a state of disbelief and disbelief. In a moment of revelation, Jiang Yai, grasping the shining necklace with unwavering determination, realized that the course of his destiny had irrevocably changed, declaring himself the Lord of the world, thereby cementing his newfound invincibility and deterring anyone from daring to harm him in the future. Against the bright daylight, the glowing illumination continued, casting an unearthly glow that rendered the three attackers motionless, a combination of awe, and bewilderment etched on their faces. Trying to calm the trepidation that had gripped his companions, one of the men tried to offer a semblance of reassurance, suggesting that the glowing spectacle could be nothing more than harmless fireworks. Meanwhile, others continued to express their bewilderment, raising questions regarding the true nature of the mesmerizing radiance enveloping Jiang Yai. In a sudden and unforeseen metamorphosis, the once bright light became a trail of dark energy, filling the atmosphere with a distinct hue of ominous purple, signaling a profound shift in the metaphysical forces at play. Sitting amidst this transformative energy, Jiang Yai transformed into a ghostly figure, bathed in a mesmerizing glow of purple radiance, clutching the coin necklace with unwavering determination, his eyes closed in deep contemplation. The men, now faced with an unexpected manifestation of supernatural power, stood paralyzed with expressions on their faces that reflected shock, fear, and disbelief, their expectations shattered by an unexpected turn of events that challenged their collective understanding. Suddenly, Jiang Yai's eyes fluttered open, releasing an intense, radiant cascade of golden light that immediately struck fear into those who witnessed this otherworldly phenomenon. In response to the inexplicable radiance, the spectators hastily left, calling Jiang Yai a ghost as he gradually descended from the unearthly spectacle above. Sitting in the lingering violet streak of light, Jiang Yai, with an expression of bewilderment, asked the fleeing people the reason for their sudden panic, questioning the reason for their hasty retreat. Inspecting his own form, he made a startling observation, noting that his body seemed to be engulfed in a glowing fire, an inexplicable phenomenon that added to the mystery of the situation. Fixing his gaze on the necklace of copper coins adorning his neck, Jiang Yi realized that he remembered that it was a copper coin that emitted a mesmerizing glow. As he clutched the copper coin necklace, its luster remained, casting an otherworldly glow that seemed to defy the laws of the mundane world. Interestingly, it seemed as if a trace of words reflecting the color of the shining light of the copper coin materialized directly in Jiang Yi's eyes. The words, brightly colored, seemed to carve themselves into the fabric of the purple sky, creating an opening through which the words shone with magnificent brightness. An invisible force grabbed Jiang Yi, pulling him upward into the glowing hole created by the copper coin, an ethereal gateway to unknown worlds. In an instant, he disappeared from the usual boundaries of the modern world, leaving behind confused spectators reflecting on the unusual incident. Meanwhile, the copper coin rolled gracefully through the air, its mysterious behavior attracting the attention of those below speculating about its meaning. The index fingers followed the coin's fall into the air, suggesting that it might be related to the legendary territory of the Black Wind Demon. There were rumors in the crowd that suggested that the gates to the sinful world, which had been dormant for millennia, could be reopened. Skeptics have wondered about the possibility of escape for those serving unfinished sentences. With a thunderclap, Jiang Yi hit the ground, the force of his fall leaving a noticeable crack in the surface below him. Rising from the floor, he had an expression of confusion and speechlessness, his body drenched in sweat as he struggled with the surreal events that had unfolded that day. A puzzled Jiang Yi ran his hands over his body, affirming his continued existence and reflecting on the bewilderment of the inexplicable events that had befallen him. Suddenly shrouded in shadow, he turned to her with a mixture of curiosity and confusion on his face, not knowing what new mystery awaited him. Standing in front of him were two unusual-looking people, dressed in traditional clothing, prompting Jiang Yi to question their presence and wonder if they were cosplaying. Unfazed by his question, one of the men questioned Jiang Yi about the external situation, questioning the abundance of aura, but he redirected the conversation by deflecting their questions and speculating on the nature of their peculiar appearance. Assessing Jiang Yi's essence, the fair-haired man picked up a trace of evil energy, deeming it useful for his unknown purposes. Taking this opportunity, his partner proposed a sinister plan of action to eliminate Jiang Yi in order to collect both his aura and demonic energy. While the sinister duo was about to team up against Jiang Yi, their nefarious plans came to an abrupt end when their attention was drawn to the arrival of an unexpected swordsman. Jiang Yi, struggling with confusion, pondered the meaning of these events. Overhearing their ominous conversation, Jiang Yi struggled to comprehend the surreal details. They talked about extracting his aura and ability to manipulate flying creatures, which prompted him to question the reality of his circumstances, wondering if he had unwittingly stumbled into a fantasy dream world. Faced with the ominous threat posed by these mysterious creatures, Jiang Yi considered sneaking away, hoping to escape their clutches. However, his hopes were quickly dashed as they ominously declared that there was no escape. Their eyes glowed an ominous dark blue, and there was an unmistakable evil expression on their faces. Assuming that the shining light had somehow turned the swordsman into madness, they held awe at his unpredictable actions. Their overall conclusion set the stage for the impending conflict. In an ominous transformation, the duo assumed their beast forms, joining forces to attack Jiang Yi in unison, raising the stakes of the confrontation. Launching a synchronized attack, the beasts jumped towards Jiang Yi, loudly proclaiming their intention to destroy him immediately. Amidst the chaos, Jiang Yi, still confused, tried to evade the onslaught of the monstrous opponents, questioning the reason for this sudden brutal encounter. Despite his best efforts to evade, Jiang Yi found himself subjected to painful blows, causing him to wince in agony as the merciless attack continued. Realizing the real threat posed by the transformed beasts, Jiang Yi, no longer under the illusion of sleep, ran away in a desperate attempt to survive. Exhausted and frustrated, he sought a brief respite and collapsed to rest briefly, realizing that he had managed to put some distance between himself and his relentless pursuers. In an unexpected turn of events, a golden streak of light emanated from Jiang Yi's forehead, casting a heavenly radiance in the midst of his reprieve. The two attackers who witnessed this celestial phenomenon discussed the distribution of the upcoming attack, with the bear-like beast instructing its partner to take the lead and save some of the impending violence for him. However, the golden lights emitted overwhelming power as they rose from where Jiang Yi lay, defying their expectations and intensifying the mystical nature of the confrontation. In a sinful world, a perceptive young girl discerned the luminous words forming in the sky, recognizing them as the emblem of the Kong family lineage. With a quick snap of her fingers, she disappeared from her original position, leaving behind an ominous statement that she would not allow them to escape the consequences of their actions. As the mysterious girl left, her ominous words lingered, adding an air of inevitability to the unfolding events. The bear beast, realizing Jiang Yi's lack of aura, cultivation, and spiritual presence, tightened its grip, confused by the inexplicable state of its captive. Suddenly, to the beast's amazement, Jiang Yi disappeared from his hands, leaving the beast confused and wondering about the reality of the situation. The bear was overcome with confusion as he wondered about the sudden disappearance, his hands now empty where Jiang Yi was held moments ago. Suspecting that his partner had somehow swallowed Jiang Yi, the beast accused him of being a demon bear and demanded that he release all the spatial treasures obtained from the disappeared swordsman. Angrily threatening the bear's family, the partner insisted on handing over the treasure, emphasizing that they lacked livelihood from absorbing the aura for a millennium. The looming fear intensified as a mad swordsman entered the scene, striking fear into the once confident duo who now struggled with the knowledge that their actions could have triggered a force beyond their control. He walked into the room, a sinister grin on his lips, brandishing his sword with an evil glint. He was enveloped in a glowing light purple aura, adding an eerie undertone to his menacing presence. The moment he arrived, he stated an intense feeling of a fresh aura in the air. He pointed to beings who had previously undergone a transformation, signaling the detection of unusual energy. With a nostalgic tone, he noted that it had been a long time since he had encountered such a pure and fresh aura. For him, this presented the perfect opportunity for a ceremonial sword sacrifice. The bear, perplexed, asked about the nature of the so-called fresh aura. This called into question the man's peculiar fascination with the scent that caught his attention. The eccentric person asked the bear about the location of the fresh aura. In response, the bear begged for mercy, claiming that Jiang Yi was weak and did not deserve the man's deadly blade. Jiang Yi, finding himself miraculously alive, felt a wave of confusion wash over him. Puzzled, he wondered why he used the word again, and scratched the back of his head in confusion. Seeing Jiang Yi sitting and unharmed, the bear expressed confusion, prompting him to wonder about the inexplicable survival. Jiang Yi, believing that the madman's sword had spared him, took solace in his unexpected survival. The bear, looking at Jiang Yi, noticed that he looked like a middle-aged, experienced master. Grateful that his life was spared, Jiang Yi changed his gratitude when the madman's sword launched an attack called Sword Thrust. Jiang Yi, who was stabbed in the chest, was stunned to find that there was no blood flowing from the wound. At the same time, the madman's sword reflected his confusion, unable to comprehend the lack of blood. Accepting the bear's earlier assessment of his weakness, Jiang Yi accepted the lack of blood as confirmation of his vulnerability. The bear, sensing the anomaly, assumed that something was wrong and detected a powerful force coming from within Jiang Yi. Turning to face the unexpected presence behind him, the bear was stunned by the discovery. The man's reappearance brought joy, and he again informed Jiang Yi of their meeting. He asked if Jiang Yi practiced immortal magic or substitution art, leaving Jiang Yi confused and ignorant. The madman praised Jiang Yi, declaring that he was worthy of wielding the sword, preparing for another attack. Leaping into the air, the madman mercilessly slashed Jiang Yi with his sword, but each blow repeatedly brought Jiang Yi back to life. In desperation, Jiang Yi pleaded with the madman, expressing weariness from the constant cycle of death and rebirth. He asked if the madman was tired of the continuous battle. The madman, unable to understand Jiang Yi's resilience, prepared for another attack, confirming that Jiang Yi was worthy of being targeted. The sword repeatedly fell on Jiang Yi, but each blow could not end his stubborn existence. Despite the merciless onslaught, Jiang Yi, in a continuous cycle, revived after each fatal blow. Jiang Yi, tired of the merciless cycle of death, called out to the madman, expressing his weariness. He wondered if the madman was also tired of the seemingly endless struggle. The madman, amazed by Jiang Yi's resilience, could not believe his inability to commit suicide. In desperation, he asked how many times Jiang Yi would return after death. Turning his attention to the transformed beasts, Jiang Yi questioned their lack of help given their enormous strength. They admitted their inability to help him and retreated tactically. With amazing speed, the madman flew into the air, ready to deal another brutal blow to Jiang Yi. In his merciless attack, he paid no attention to any requests for clemency or reprieve. Gripped by excruciating pain, Jiang Yi's agonized screams echoed, marking the dire nature of his predicament. The torment he endured seemed to be a form of cruel and merciless torture, causing him to crave any conceivable means of release. Suddenly, the imminent threat of the madman's impending strike against Jiang Yi suddenly ceased. The tension in the air became palpable as the attacker's movement ceased, providing a momentary respite from the relentless attack. The sudden interruption found its source in the form of a young girl who materialized in front of Jiang Yi. With a stern warning, she warned against breaking any promises. In her hands, she held the broken tip of the madman's sword, a weapon that had been pointed menacingly at Jiang Yi just moments ago. The madman, overwhelmed with amazement at the sight of this unearthly figure, looked incredulously at the broken remains of his sword. The unexpected intervention not only stopped the oncoming danger, but also left the attacker clearly dazed and confused by the turn of events. Turning to him with an air of graceful poise, she asked the question, softly uttering words that hung in the air like an inviting whisper, asking him if he might perhaps resign himself to the thought of her generously offering him a ride. The response from his lips was an immediate, intuitive refusal, caused not by simple resistance, but by a palpable, hidden fear that seemed to permeate his entire being. Showing respect, he bowed gracefully, a gesture filled with unspoken apologies, conveying the urgency of his departure, an urgency that would not tolerate any delay. This revelation struck Jiang Yi like lightning, leaving him stunned for a moment. His mind struggled with the incredulity of meeting a seemingly deranged man who, paradoxically, recoiled in fear. The mystery deepened as he pondered the mystery girl's identity, prompting him to sign his disbelief. Having left the lair of the metaphorical tiger, he unwittingly found himself in the lair of the metaphorical wolf. As a sign of admiration, she expressed in words that he was a kind soul, asking if there was anything in his power that he could wish for. A thin, almost imperceptible smile graced Jiang Yi's face as he internally realized the undeniable attractiveness emanating from her. She reassured him by emphasizing that her plea had no weight, and all she wanted was for him to get out of the labyrinth of the sinful world, a simple request that had deep meaning. Puzzled and confused, he confessed his misunderstanding, revealing a state of mental confusion caused by the complexity of the riddle of the sinful world. Gently, her fingers touched his forehead, a gentle touch that served as a prelude to the revelation that the Kang family carried the mantle of guardians of the sinful world. Delving further into the depths of the revelation, she formulated that the entire cohort of demons in the sinful world was definitely under the control of his Kang ancestral family. Stirring the caches of memories of his formative years surfaced, bringing back memories of the past that his grandfather regaled him with about a mysterious, sinful world. His grandfather's tales unfolded, telling tales of capricious gods, and the younger Jiang Yi was left puzzled by the vague concept of same to forward. Explaining the inextricable connection, his grandfather shared the knowledge that the sinful world is inextricably linked to their respected Kang family. Continuing to develop the cosmic dichotomy, his grandfather expounded on the long-standing division between immortals and mortals. When a living being achieved immortality, he was drawn to his inevitable ascension to the ancient immortal world, leaving the mundane human realm behind. Having strayed from the righteous path, some immortals fell into crime, which led to their expulsion from the ancient immortal world and being sent to the punitive confines of the sinful world. The mantle of control over a sin-filled realm or appointment, as guardian of an ancient immortal realm, constantly fell on the shoulders of a chosen descendant of their venerable Kang line. Remarkably, his grandfather passed on the mixed blessing, honor, and heavy responsibility inherent in this role. However, the idyllic existence was disrupted by the sudden disappearance of the ancient immortal world and the subsequent closure of the Sin Gate world. The secret passed down from generation to generation of the Kong family has turned from a blessing into an enduring curse. A burning desire arose for the grandfather, a desire for his offspring to lead a quiet life, free from the shackles of a sinful world and its dark complexities. Piecing together the pieces of family history, Jiang Yai's growing understanding of his identity began to take shape. The girl, patient in her 1,000-year vigil, showed her eternal expectation for the rebirth of the Kang family. In response, Jiang Yai admitted that he had an epiphany, an awareness of the significance inherent in his own lineage. A smile played on his lips as he confirmed his identity as a scion of the esteemed Kang family, acutely aware of the weight and consequences that came with such a distinguished lineage. Confirming the confession, she smiled back at him, denoting his freedom to free her from any invisible bonds that bound her. Surprisingly, he contradicted her expectations by expressing an unequivocal determination to return home, rejecting the prospect of remaining in a kingdom where his existence would be marked by countless deaths. With a hoarse laugh, he picked up the coin, intending to build a gate that would serve as his passage from the monstrous denizens that surrounded him. Despite the outward bravado, creating the gate turned out to be not as simple as expected. Stuck in a confusing limbo, he twisted and writhed, unable to cross the threshold of the portal. Turning to the girl with pleading eyes, he begged her for help, solemnly promising to fulfill his previous promise to ease her exit from the realm of confusion. Amusement danced in her eyes as she laughed, enjoying the spectacle of his predicament. Showing strength, she brought him out of the interdimensional impasse. Rising through the ethereal gate, his cries of fear echoed in the noisy passage. Her cryptic words resonated in the tense air, calling him to witness the world that awaited him, a sinful world. As they flew into the unknown, his fears grew. The girl guided him with inexorable force, unraveling the mysteries shrouded in the fabric of the deserted, ominous kingdom. Their ascent revealed a land plunged into darkness, shrouded in an oppressive aura with traces of blood staining the landscape. It seemed uninhabited, as if life itself had long ago left this abandoned space. Displeasure frowned as he surveyed the grim scene, expressing displeasure at the seemingly barren gift bestowed upon him. He doubted the courage to give him a piece of desert. In response to his disbelief, she explained the lack of aura in the Sin world, a key factor making direct teleportation an unattainable feat. As he pondered deeply on this newfound discovery, he realized the profound implications that dawned on him. The lack of an aura explained his inability to teleport directly from the sinful world, adding to the confusion characteristic of the mysterious realm that enveloped him in its mysterious embrace. She told him a discouraging truth. For ordinary people, the world of sin was an inevitable labyrinth. Hearing this, his face showed dissatisfaction, and he doubted the possibility of escaping from the clutches of the sinful world. Memories of life in the modern world, immersed in games and routine, overwhelmed him. Unable to contain his disappointment, he burst out screaming as he tried to comprehend the sudden and irreversible nature of his circumstances. Resisting acceptance, he used his hands to free her hand from his shirt, symbolically rejecting the harsh reality that he might never return to his old world. In response to his obvious despair, she reassured him by hinting at a potential solution. There was a glimmer of hope in his eyes as he looked at her, searching for a lifeline amidst the uncertainty. Her revelation opened a trial path, a formal acceptance of the role of controller and management of the world of sin, allowing him to move unhindered through its spheres. Hesitantly, he handled the difficult and unpleasant responsibilities that accompanied this role. Considering the idyllic existence that others sought in the immortal world, he marveled at how he was tasked with overseeing a patch of wasteland, dealing with infrastructural problems and the bullying of demons. Scratching his chin, he wondered what decision his grandfather might have made when faced with such a choice, unsure of his own actions. Drawing inspiration from his grandfather, he recognized the potential for blessing, honor, and responsibility in taking on this role. Grumbling about the seemingly mundane task of managing prisoners in a huge prison, he resignedly compared it to an improved version of the games he once played. With determination, he announced his decision to take charge immediately, which caused streaks of golden light to appear in front of him. The ancient coin around his neck radiated light, a subtle confirmation of the transformative journey he was about to undertake. The descendants of the Kang family had just officially accepted the prestigious role of guardians of the sinful world, marking an important stage in their family's legacy. As he closed his eyes and sank into his newfound power, a realization washed over him. The energy flowing through him was nothing short of extraordinary. Feeling a connection with the outside world, a light of hope lit up within him, suggesting the possibility of returning home. The feeling was the same as squeezing a key, symbolizing the opportunity to open the gate to his home world. Eager to experiment with this newfound ability, he extended his hands and successfully created a ball of light, testing the limits of his newfound abilities. Inspired by his success, he decided to create a portal to the human world, the very gate that would make it easier for him to return home. Now that the gate was open, he could make out the familiar sight of his grandparents' shop from the world of sin, which filled him with great joy. Struck by the sight of the open gate, he was overcome by a deep feeling of happiness. The prospect of finally returning home aroused in him an even greater sense of jubilation. Just as he was about to walk through the gate, she materialized behind him, creating an unforeseen complication. Even though he had recently been appointed as the controller of the Sin World, he required the Kang family's special weapon to formalize his right to enter and exit. Puzzled, he doubted the existence of the mysterious special weapon, insisting that he had nothing but a copper coin hanging from his necklace. Shrouded in secrecy, she admitted that she knew about the whereabouts of the weapon, but did not want to reveal its location. With a sudden clap of her hands, she orchestrated a stunning transformation in his surroundings. He stared in amazement at the unexpected change that had occurred. Using her mystical powers, she lifted him off the ground, placing him directly above the mysterious hole. This sensation caused a palpable fear to grip him as he floated above the unknown depths. Abruptly releasing her ethereal grip, she reproached him for attempting to escape on his own. In a cryptic revelation, she revealed that the elusive special weapon was not located in some external location, but was in fact inextricably linked to his own personality. Rising from the ground in discomfort, he expressed his disappointment, calling her apparently immortal and questioning her stinginess, while simultaneously expressing concern that he nearly lost his cherry in the process. He immediately stood up. The other beings that were in the Sin World smelled him and knew that he was the Kang family, and then they decided to take revenge for imprisoning them for thousands of years, and said that although they could kill him, they would make his life unbearable. He became confused when he saw a group of people surrounding him, and then told them that he was the new boss, and why exactly they wanted to kill him. They decided to attack him together, but he just stood there while they attacked him countless times and did nothing because it didn't even hurt, so there was no need for him to dodge or counterattack. After merciless attacks, exhausted by the constant bombardment, they were faced with the realization that he, the sinister puppeteer, held sway over the world of sin, rendering their physical attacks powerless against his formidable defenses. Recognizing the futility of conventional means, they decided to use unearthly tactics, venturing into the realm of spiritual warfare. Using the esoteric and elusive technique of the spectral sleeping demon, they sought to trap him in the labyrinth of his own subconscious. He expressed a desire to excavate the darkest corners of his mind, allowing a flood of the most painful memories to swallow him into the chilling embrace of nightmares. As he lay prone, lost in the ghostly tapestry of his memories, the weight of the memories threatened to drown him in the depths of his own despair. A flood of memories flooded back to cover his post-installation life. Echoes of scorn and ridicule from those he considered comrades, accusations of incompetence branding him as the architect of their collective demise. His cherished relationship has collapsed, the fragments of affection replaced by the judgment of his former lover, who once perceived him as a prodigy, now blinded by disappointment. Whispers of misfortune enveloped his family, with rumors spreading that each member had met an untimely death. In the throes of this introspective whirlpool, happiness eluded him, but as the memories began to fade, a fleeting sense of relief crept in. With eyes wide open, the ghostly remnant of the inner demons dissipated, leaving behind a victorious and unburdened soul, the conqueror of its own shadows. Quickly waking up, he found himself filled with an overwhelming wave of power, newfound strength coursing through his veins. Suddenly feeling a presence on his arm, he launched a powerful blow at those who attacked him, the power emanating from his renewed being. Puzzled, he carefully examined his hand and discovered a mysterious weapon, the origin of which was shrouded in mystery. Questioning the authenticity of his perceptions, he wondered if it was a simple hallucination. A young girl approached Zhang Yai from behind, congratulated him, and confirmed that the mysterious weapon would now grant him the rightful mantle of managerial power in the world of sin. The indomitable Kang family boasts a legacy of the impressive Godwipe, hailed as their most powerful weapon. This legendary artifact, shrouded in mysticism, is evidence of the family's formidable origins. Passed through the annals of time, the divine napkin originates in the hands of Kang Xia, the revered ancestor of the Kang family. Its enduring legacy has been passed down through generations, a treasured relic with a history steeped in martial prowess. Within the sacred confines of the Jade Void Palace, the heavenly abode of Yuanshu Tianzun, God Vipe reigns as the most coveted treasure. This revered saint from the Himalayas holds this relic, created specifically to defeat the 8 gods on the heavenly battlefield. Gifted by Kang Xia, the divine napkin played a key role in completing the divine seal ceremony. This unusual artifact measures exactly 3 feet 6 inches and is divided into 21 pieces. Each section has 4 symbolic seals for a total of 84 symbolic seals, highlighting its sacred significance. Considering their heritage as members of the Kang family, searching for this extraordinary treasure becomes an integral responsibility. Godwipe symbolizes not only military superiority, but also the family duty to protect and use this unprecedented artifact that has passed through the corridors of time. She told him that he didn't know how to use it, but he was busy rejoicing in the fact that his ancestors were rich. And then he turned to the people who attacked him and said that he was going to try and attack him first. Brandishing the special weapon with confidence, he pointed it decisively at one of his opponents, declaring his intention to test the power of his Godwipe. Faced with impending punishment, the victim begged for mercy, tears streaming down his face as he begged for mercy from this formidable excellency. Anticipation was in the air as he began cleaning, but to the surprise of the onlookers, nothing happened. A collective silence enveloped the area, replaced by surprised disbelief at the unexpected turn of events. Seeing the failed attempt, the mysterious figure burst into laughter, prompting his confused question. He demanded to know why she had fun when the proclaimed strongest weapon was ineffective. In response, she called him stupid and enlightened him on the intricacies of Godwipe. Explaining the 21 sections, each adorned with 4 symbols, she explained that the consultant's authority spans 21 levels, each corresponding to a symbol and enhanced. With a hint of condescension, she instructed him to activate level 1, thereby activating the first section of symbols. Only then, she assured, would he unleash Godwipe's true potential and unleash its immense power on his opponents. Initiating Godwipe with new understanding, he unleashed its power on those who had previously attacked him. The blow was devastating, causing serious damage to each of his opponents standing nearby. As he surveyed the aftermath of the attack, his face showed a mixture of surprise and disbelief. Seeing the extent of the injuries suffered by his now beaten opponents, he couldn't help but find the effectiveness of divine rubbing somewhat staggering, bordering on the realm of exaggeration. The woman then told him that suppressing the rebellion of sin was the task of the administrators, so it was only natural that they were rewarded for completing it. Now he could freely enter and leave the world. He asked her if she was afraid that he would use the wipe against her, since she was giving him too much information. She told him that she had already served her sentence and was no longer under the wipe. Continuing her advice, she imparted wisdom that many ancient laws no longer applied at this time, and he readily agreed. Recognizing the changing nature of social norms, they found common ground in understanding the need to adapt and revise outdated legal structures. He asked if there could be many such trapped demons and sinful immortals in the Sin world because the Kang family did not show up. She replied that it did not matter since he was now bound to the world of sins. He had to bear the fate of the sinful world and could not escape. Encouraged by their newfound union, she proposed an alliance of a different kind, asking him to escort her from their current kingdom. In return, she promised to share the secrets of cultivation, a skill that could potentially elevate him to dominance in the human world. Agreeing to her proposal, he agreed to accompany her. However, his motives were different from the desire for dominance. Instead, he sought to right past injustices and clear away the shadows of his previous misdeeds. When the gate to their current kingdom opened, they found themselves transported to the human world. However, he tripped and fell in the process, and the transition turned out to be more difficult than expected. Emerging from the ethereal boundary into the human world, she expressed joy at her return after a long absence. Her happiness was accompanied by an atmosphere of nostalgia, emphasizing the significance of their arrival. Confirming their successful passage, he stood up, signaling their safe exit from the sinful world and the beginning of their journey to the realm of humanity. Then he turned around and saw that the three guys who attacked him earlier were still running, and then he was amazed because in reality only a few seconds had passed. Her gaze lingered on Kang Yai, gratitude evident in her eyes as he demonstrated his willingness to lead her out of the sinful world. A silent acknowledgement passed between them, acknowledging the significance of the gesture. At that moment, it dawned on her. Observing Kang Yai's determination, she believed that he had the potential to save a world that was on the verge of collapse due to sin. Seeds of hope sprouted in her mind, anchored in his strength and dedication. The physical toll of their journey weighed heavily on Jiang Yai, as was evident from his labored breathing after his long journey through the sinful world. His thoughts were tinged with a hint of regret, wondering if it was worth the risk of buying clothes given how tired he was. Walking next to him in the human world, she couldn't help but notice the curious glances directed at her. Taking advantage of the moment, she mockingly inquired about the milk tea and hot pot that people were discussing. After expressing her interest, she expressed her desire to try these culinary delights, adding a touch of ease to their journey. People can't stop whispering and talking about her clothes or cosplay. And how did they not know that Jiang Yai's child grew up so big, even though he wasn't married yet? He felt awkward when he heard what they said and then blushed. People took out their phones and started recording and saying that the cosplay was beautiful, the material was great, and the father and daughter were cute too. But then one of the recording men recognized Jiang Yai and said that he looked familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere. When he was recognized, he was overcome with urgency, and without a moment's hesitation, Kang Yai quickly took it up, beginning a quick escape. As he ran across the terrain, he outpaced his pursuers, putting considerable distance between them and potential capture. Relief washed over him when they found a secluded spot that offered temporary shelter. The breakneck speed with which he evaded pursuit prevented his pursuers from catching up or discovering their location. However, the respite was short-lived, as she urgently needed to change clothes. During his chaotic escape, he was approached by an employee of a women's boutique. Her disappointment palpable, she advised him to behave, emphasizing the need to maintain composure in the midst of their hasty escape. A sudden realization hit him as he looked around, taking in the surroundings of women's boutiques, lingerie, and clothing. A blush of embarrassment colored his face as he recognized the nature of the establishment, adding an unexpected layer of awkwardness to their escape. Kang Yai's eyes widened as he came across a line of women changing clothes. The shock on their faces mirrored his own astonishment when he accidentally found himself in a women's boutique. Realizing his unintentional intrusion, Kang Yai quickly apologized to the startled women, assuring them that he had not intended to invade their locker room. The sincerity of his apology was intended to dispel any discomfort caused by the unexpected meeting. In an unexpected scenario, Miss Su came out of the dressing room wearing a swimsuit. Turning to Kang Yai, she asked his opinion on the outfit, wondering if it seemed too revealing. She further criticized the material, expressing surprise at its unconventionality, and noted that the vestment lacked the desired level of stretch. The encounter added a humorous twist to the situation, mixing embarrassment with unexpected criticism of swimwear. When one of the employees saw, she told him why he didn't say he wanted to buy a swimsuit for his daughter. But she immediately spoke up and said that she was not his daughter, and that she just lived at his house and they didn't even know each other. Miss Sue's candid remarks about the revealing nature and peculiar material of the swimsuit left the other ladies speechless for a moment. Faced with an unexpected comment, the collective understanding came that some kind of action or response was necessary to resolve the unexpected situation. The atmosphere changed as the women considered their next move, each dealing with the peculiar turn of events in their own way. Faced with rising tensions, the women, feeling backed into a corner, hastily took out their phones to report what they believed to be a kidnapping case to police. At the same time, Jiang Yai, realizing the seriousness of the situation, grabbed Miss Sue's hand and begged her for the consequences of her actions, saying that she had unintentionally implicated him. In the midst of this, a concerned observer shouted at him to stop. Assessing the urgency of the situation, Madame Sue decided to use her mystical powers to correct the misunderstanding. Realizing the need to quickly change her appearance, especially given her current outfit, a swimsuit, she began to use her powers to change her appearance. In an instant, Miss Sue successfully used her powers to transform from a swimsuit into her original set of clothes, smoothly returning to the clothes she had been wearing before her unexpected outing to the women's boutique. This sudden transformation was intended to dispel misunderstandings and restore a semblance of normalcy to the unfolding situation. While they were running, he saw that she had changed clothes and told her that if he had known that she could change clothes, he wouldn't have to buy her, but then she responded by telling him that the change of clothes spell consumes magical power, and there was no corresponding spiritual energy there. During their hasty escape, Kang Yai and Miss Sue encountered a woman with vibrant purple hair, her serious expression catching their attention as they rushed past. The purple-haired woman stopped abruptly, a sense of foreboding filling her as she sensed an ancient and ominous scent in the air. The unmistakable aura of ancient evil persisted, prompting her to pay attention to the unfolding situation. When the police gave the order to stop the alleged kidnappers, the purple-haired woman swung into action. Relying on her mystical abilities, she took out a magic paper and declared that the kidnapper had suffered an unfortunate fate by crossing her path. As a follower of the righteous path, she has sworn to punish and destroy evil, demonstrating her unwavering commitment to upholding justice. Finally reaching the safety of his home, Kang Yai breathed a sigh of relief, the tension dissipating as he sat down. The trials and problems of the day have subsided, giving the opportunity to rest and reflect. A few minutes later, Miss Sue came out and said that she had changed her clothes, so when are they going to play outside? She told her that they shouldn't go out for a while, and if she wanted to watch something interesting, she should use the computer, which had everything. Kang Yai introduced a computer game and was amazed as she gently touched the device, asking if it was what people call a computer game. Confirming his curiosity, Kang Yai claimed his divine status, declaring himself a true god. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she eagerly expressed her desire to join in and play the game. Inspired by the idea of collaboration, Kang Yai imagined the formidable team they could become by joining forces with Sue. Recognizing the potential invincibility of their partnership, he felt a surge of optimism about returning to their former glory. Filled with happiness from this new strategy, Kang Yai foresaw a quick return to the top. Confident in the strength of their combined efforts, he believed that success was inevitable. Kang Yai approached her with the intention of giving recommendations on the game, but she categorically insisted that she understood everything perfectly and was invincible. Her confidence hinted at a competitive spirit, setting the stage for energetic gameplay. The room fell into stunned silence the moment she lost the game. The unexpected turn of events left Kang Yai and Sue momentarily speechless, their anticipation giving way to a shared sense of surprise. Jiang Yai couldn't hide his disappointment as he watched Sue lose. The disappointment was caused not only by her loss, but also by her reluctance to accept guidance or instruction from him. Her independent approach was less successful than expected. Undaunted by her defeat, Sue did not let it affect her. Instead of dwelling on the failures, she continued to immerse herself in the gameplay, finding the challenge and excitement exhilarating. Her resilience in the face of defeat hinted at a determined spirit willing to take on the challenges of the virtual world. He stood behind her and told her that he wanted to teach her how to play the game, but she lost and didn't listen. Sue simply ignored him while he talked behind her back and was busy playing her games. Suddenly and mystically, a magical paper surrounded by a golden medium light flew into their room, catching their attention. This enchanted paper had the power to banish evil spirits, its purpose being obvious as it lay on the floor of the room. His very presence hinted at a force fighting an invisible evil. The magic paper turned into a paper man trying to enter the room where Kang, Yai, and Sue were engrossed in their game. However, he met resistance, blocked by a formidable magical force emanating from within. Despite numerous attempts to enter the room, the paper man faced insurmountable obstacles. Exhausted by his futile efforts, he finally succumbed to fatigue and fell to the floor. Ignoring this mystical incident, Sue continued to immerse herself in the game. Fascinated by the computer's capabilities, she was amazed by its functions, expressing her intention to create a similar device in the future. Her enthusiasm for the game and technological innovation has remained unchanged. Jiang Yai, taking advantage of the opportunity for growth, suggested that Sue learn new techniques to create innovative weapons. Eager for progress, he reminded her of her promise to teach him the art of practice. In response to his request, Sue snapped her fingers, creating a book. Pointing to his hands, she advised him to acquire the items listed in the book as a prerequisite for their practice. After convincing him to stop arguing further, Sue brushed him off, emphasizing the importance of getting the items from the book. Determined to focus on her game, she stated her intention to begin training as soon as the necessary materials were obtained. When he saw that the book was handed to him, he was very happy. This is a book about King Sutra medicine, about the beginning of development, the reduction of marrow and bones, and the use of drugs to detach from the physical body. Jiang Yai's initial joy turned to anxiety as he looked over the contents of the book. It listed high-quality goods, each with a hefty price tag, including items such as ginseng. The realization that purchasing the said goods would deplete his hard-earned savings prompted him to voice his complaints. Frustration grew as he realized the financial implications of these unexpected expenses. While expressing his dissatisfaction with the impending financial hardship, Jiang Yai bemoaned the fact that his career savings were now being diverted to the purchase of these expensive, high-quality items. As soon as Jiang Yai left, Sue, seemingly unfazed, stood up and casually stepped on the paper man. However, her flinch indicated that even this mystical being was not immune to the physical world. Lifting her foot away from the paper man, Sue turned her attention to the virtual world. Unhappy with her playing group's performance, she attributed their defeat to external factors, specifically blaming the field within the game. She then used her feet to lift the paper man, who was struggling to free himself. She looked at him and said that the little paper man was very spiritual and seemed to be a family treasure, but it was a pity that their spellcasters were not skilled in this art and had limited range. While expressing her dissatisfaction, Sue criticized the apparent lack of progress in the skills of the dumb monk from the Talisman School, highlighting the supposed stagnation over millennia. Showing a mixture of amusement and contempt, she squeezed the paper man tightly, causing him to tremble in her arms. Her action served as a form of mockery, further emphasizing her disdain for the mystical being. Unrelentingly amused, Sue decided to escalate the situation by casting a stronger spell on the paper man. The magical energy intensified, promising a more powerful effect on the enchanted creature. Concluding her interaction with the paper man, Sue said goodbye to him as he jumped out of the window after being released. The mystical creature, now under the influence of her magic, began a journey outside the room. Meanwhile, at the herbal shop where Jiang Yai stood contemplating purchasing the medicinal herbs listed in the book, the paper man encountered a new problem. The paper man struggled to climb up Jiang Yai's legs, holding him tightly with a mixture of anger and determination. Despite the obvious resistance, the enchanted creature continued its ascent, clinging to Jiang Yai's body, a peculiar demonstration of mystical interaction. The purple-headed girl closed her eyes to feel where the paper man was, and when she saw him, she opened her eyes and immediately headed in the direction she sensed him. Driven by urgency, Sue jumped onto the windowsill, ready to rush to the spot where she had sensed the paper man. Deciding not to be late, she moved forward at high speed, navigating her surroundings with agility and focus as she approached the paper man's location. Arriving at the herbal store, Sue positioned herself outside, her gaze fixed on Jiang Yai inside as he went through the process of purchasing herbs. Using her magical abilities, Sue initiated spells, summoning her paper soldiers to prepare for the imminent battle. The air around her crackled with mystical energy as she prepared her powers. When the spell took effect, the paper man, who had previously been in motion, abruptly stopped moving. He froze, as if he were being manipulated by an outside force, answering Sue's magical call. Meanwhile, inside the store, the staff informed Jiang Yai that some medications were incompatible with each other. Calmly, he brushed off the concerns, insisting on acquiring the herbs despite the potential risks, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. Startled by the unexpected noise, Jiang Yai turned around and saw a strange sight, a paper man standing on his heart. The meaning of this mystical spectacle puzzled him. The girl with the purple head, apparently the creator of the paper man, found herself under attack from her own creation. Confused, sitting on the floor, she wondered why the seemingly cheerful paper man had turned hostile. In her upset state, the girl pointed at Jiang Yai, calling him a demon and demanding an explanation for his alleged actions. The sudden accusation left Jiang Yai confused as he struggled to understand the unfolding situation. Jiang Yai, struggling with confusion, turned to look into the noise, only to find himself being blamed without understanding the cause. The unexpected turn of events left him at a loss. Trying to diffuse the tension, Jiang Yai extended his hands, offering help to the girl who was being attacked. He inquired about her well-being and offered to help, trying to understand the situation. Instead of accepting the offered help, the girl became afraid, interpreting Jiang Yai's gestures as a prelude to another attack. Her fears increased, fueled by the belief that he was trying to harm her again. She immediately jumped up and then fell, which is why she prepared herself for a fight and told him that he shouldn't even think about attacking her again. She brought her magic papers to get rid of evil, and then told him that he had committed a crime on the street, desecrated her treasure, and was now trying to take advantage of someone. She picked up the newspaper and then stated that she was Fei Louis from the Tianxin sect, so she was going to kill him today for the sake of heaven. Kang Ya was confused and then asked what was going on. He was surprised that one could meet a practitioner even while shopping, and asked why she attacked him. As she launched an attack on him, one of her paper men immediately jumped up and then blocked the attack for him. She was surprised when her newsboy parried her attack. She pointed at him and called him despicable. She was injured in a counterattack and then asked him how he knew about their school's paper folding technique. He was confused and then asked her what she had just done to herself and whether real practitioners were reckless. After that, she decided to cast another spell. She said that she wanted to keep a low profile, but since he was forcing her, she had no choice but to show her his strength. In a moment of frustration and perceived threat, she created with her own hands many magical papers, each of which was endowed with the power to dispel evil. Intending to use them, she prepared to use the mystical documents against him. Sensing danger, she quickly drew her sword, branding him a demon and forcing him to look at the blade's potential. The atmosphere became tense as the confrontation escalated. In response to her intimidation, Jiang Yai, feeling a surge of fear, declared that he had nothing to see in her sword. His attempt to downplay the situation reflected his desire to defuse the conflict. Realizing the imminent danger, Jiang Yai took decisive action. Anticipating an attack, he quickly opened the gate to return home, putting his own safety above further combat. The portal offered him a quick escape, emphasizing his instinct of self-preservation. Surprised and in disbelief, she could not understand how he managed to escape her. His sudden escape left her in a state of shock, and she had to struggle with the knowledge that he had slipped through her grasp. She was silent for a while and did not understand what was happening. The aura she just felt is not like the sinful aura she felt before. It also wasn't the same as the spell aura on the paper soldier, so she wondered if it was possible that they could be an evil cultivation group. The staff then pulled her out of her thoughts and asked if the two of them played cosplay and performed dirty magic, after which he told her not to influence his business. He then extended his hand and asked her to pay for the magical herbs that Kang Ya had collected. She tried to defend herself, but the store owner had just told him that he understood everything well, that they were on-screen enemies, but in reality they were KP. After completing the payment, the shop owner shared her point of view, acknowledging the strength of her companion's magical abilities. His remark hinted at an acknowledgement of the power of the mystical talents demonstrated by the human Sue. In a deserted and fiery landscape where heat permeated the air, a lady occupied the central throne. The barren area echoed with flickering flames, creating a dramatic scene for her presence. Catching the tantalizing aroma, the lady licked her lips in anticipation, her senses heightened by the aroma of something seductive wafting in the air. Having discovered the essence of what she believed to be an immortal weapon treasure, the woman expressed her intention to seize and enjoy her newfound acquisition, eager to explore its potential. Absorbed in the virtual world, Sue's reactions were mirrored in the real world as she continued to play the game. Each defeat prompted her to express her frustration through constant screaming, creating an oral expression of her intense gaming experience. Immersed in intense gameplay, Sue's attention was focused on the virtual world when suddenly a gate materialized in the room. The sudden appearance of the portal added to the atmosphere of mystery. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Kan Yai, having successfully purchased medicinal herbs, rushed into the room. The gate acted as a bridge between worlds, allowing him to seamlessly transition from the herbal store to the space where Sue was engrossed in her game. Then he fell, immediately made sense, and then the gate closed. When he returned, he signed with relief and then said that he was finally out of danger. Sue turned to him and said that what he just did was dangerous, because he had given up his sinful breath. Now that everyone was aware of the unusual presence, his problems were still ahead. Kang Ya got scared when he said the word problem, and then complained that he had opened the gate before and nothing happened, but still responded by telling him because it was a fact that she was with him. When she saw that she had lost the game due to negotiations, she became angry. She angrily pointed the mouse at the floor and then said that her opponent was targeting her since she was dead again. Continuing her virtual conquest, Sue confidently asserted that in reality her opponents would die within a few turns. Meanwhile, Kan Yai, seeing the valor of his broken mouse, felt himself flooded with tears. Distraught over the lack of funds to replace the damaged mouse, Kan Yai expressed his financial difficulties. In a moment of apparent generosity, Sue snapped her fingers, signaling mystical intervention. Instantly reacting to her gesture, Kan Yai found a brand new mouse in his palm. The unexpected gift pleased his eyes, and he admired the sudden change. Grateful for the new mouse, Kan Yai, still excited, asked Sue if she could finally teach him the art of practice. Eager to learn, he sought advice to improve his skills. Wanting to share her knowledge, Sue agreed to train Kan Yai on one condition. He had to help her defeat a formidable opponent on the other side of the virtual world, a player she considered difficult and sneaky. The proposed alliance added a layer of co-op play to their unfolding adventure. Sincerely agreeing with Sue's condition, Kang Yai stood in front of the gaming system, confidently declaring that gaming was his forte and expressing his willingness to accept the challenge. In the midst of the game, Kang Yai, intrigued by Sue's remarkable performance, pointed to the impressive score on the computer screen. Curious and impressed, he inquired about the strategy or skill that led to such amazing records, wanting to unravel the secrets of her gaming prowess. Then it occurred to him that she was not playing under her name, but playing under his name. And he realized that it was all over. He has failed countless times, and his opponents laughed at him because he called himself a professional player. Seeing that he was causing trouble for losing games, she hit him on the head and then told him that he had better get some sleep so she could fix everything. The next day, a medicinal mixture was carefully prepared for Jiang Ya, designed to prepare his body for the upcoming cultivation. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open, remnants of Su's previous attack still lingering in his memory. Startled, he saw Su, completely naked, put her hands in the water in his bath. Jiang Ya, stunned and filled with indignation, demanded an explanation for her actions. Undeterred, she maintained an annoyed expression on her face, seemingly unapologetic about everything that had happened. Su explained that she was simply helping him alter his bone marrow, enhancing the effectiveness of somewhat lackluster world herbs with added spiritual energy for easier absorption. The mere mention of the word taste stunned Jiang Ya. His mind froze for a moment while he took a bath. The unexpected reference to taste made him feel uneasy in a vulnerable environment. Following Su's instructions to continue taking the bath, Jiang Ya listened, as she promised to make a body-cleansing treasure for him, adding a layer of mysticism to their interaction in the tranquil setting of the bath. Suddenly, a tremor ran across Jiang Ya's face as he instinctively reached for his neck, as if trying to capture something elusive in his memory. The unexpected physical reaction hinted at the complexity of his thoughts, adding an element of mystery to the scene. As he emerged from the healing bath, he saw what Su imagined to be a transformative device that could change his physique. She assured him that this would hasten his progress beyond mortal limits. Advising him to put on a bodybuilding machine and exercise regularly, Su couldn't help but grin when she saw the puzzled expression on his face. Undisclosed to him, the device included monitoring functions allowing Su to secretly observe him and reap potential benefits from his dark history. Disappointed by the transformation, which was reminiscent of the Transformers toys sold to elementary school students, Jiang Ya wondered whether she would evolve like a Transformers hero. Ignoring his question, Su continued to activate the transformation clock on Jiang Ya's hands, leaving him completely stunned by the sudden activation of the mystical device. Undeterred, Su emphasized a unique philosophy, arguing that the less aesthetically pleasing the artifact was, the more incentive Jiang Ya would have to improve her physique. This non-standard approach added an element of humor and motivation to the situation. The activated device revealed its functionality. It compressed the flow of qi and blood, causing Jiang Ya to absorb the external aura during the exercises. The device promised to provide 100 times the training volume at 10 times the weight, which presented a challenging physical improvement challenge. Su explained that as long as Jiang Ya remained active, the device would autonomously refine his body. The autonomous nature of the process added an intriguing element to the prospect of physical improvement, bringing an element of mysticism to the transformational journey. Initially optimistic about the seemingly removable toy watch, Jiang Ya soon came to realize its necessity. He had to wear it continuously for a week, a requirement that challenged his initial enthusiasm. Su, acting as a guide on this transformative journey, reminded Jiang Ya of the importance of outdoor exercise to improve the aura. However, this proposal brought an unpleasant expression to his face, hinting at the potential problems that lay ahead. Finding herself immersed in a lavish workout session in a park full of spectators, Jiang Ya's initial optimism turned into growing embarrassment. The social environment added a layer of vulnerability to his transformative journey. While he was training in the park, some spectators recognized Jiang Ya, and soon gossip and ridicule began to spread among the crowd. The public attention increased the challenges of his physical transformation, exposing him to judgment and comments from others. Adding to the humor of the situation, an elderly woman in the crowd compared Jiang Ya to the old man's brother, causing laughter among the audience. The unexpected comparison highlighted the humorous and often unpredictable nature of public perception. A curious child in the crowd couldn't help but praise Jiang Ya's 7-color transformable watch, expressing admiration and wondering whether it was the latest model. The child's innocent curiosity added a positive note to the audience. On the other hand, another child boldly declared that his own watch was much better, dismissing Jiang Ya's watch as nothing more than a mere imitation. This statement introduced an element of competition among the children, sparking a small but lively discussion among the watching crowd. The gossip in the crowd continued to intensify, and Jiang Ya found himself at the center of misconceptions and judgments. Despite his growing embarrassment, he remained resolute, choosing to ignore the crowd and focus on his commitment to the process of change. Noticing the crowd's reaction, the two troublemakers took the opportunity to use Jiang Ya to get money. The current situation hints at the potential problems and unexpected consequences that can arise if a person finds himself the center of attention in a public setting. Faced with the duo of troublemakers, Jiang Ya remained surprisingly unfazed, standing his ground in the face of their intimidation. His unwavering behavior provoked their sudden retreat, revealing a power within him that they had not expected. The failed attempt at intimidation forced the troublemakers to hastily retreat, and realizing their mistake, they hastily apologized. Jiang Ya's resilience in the face of adversity demonstrated his determination and hinted at the newfound confidence he drew from his transformative journey. Intrigued by the crowd's reaction, Jiang Ya, attuned to the energy around him, felt a special demonic aura. As he pondered the potential connection between this aura and his continued leveling up, he found himself being drawn into a deeper exploration of the mystical forces at work on his journey. Realizing the possibility of further advancement, Jiang Ya, encouraged by his recent experience, prepared for the upcoming battle. The anticipation of a new challenge added excitement and determination to his evolving narrative, setting the stage for the next chapter in his transformative journey. In the eerie confines of an abandoned factory, a subordinate conveyed alarming news to his boss. Jiang Ya's unusual presence had disrupted the flow of protection money, leaving them without the expected benefits. An abnormal circumstance required the attention of the boss. Responding to the subordinate's report, the boss, displaying ominous red eyes, made a decisive decision to directly confront Jiang Ya. The decision to confront the source of the unrest hinted at the boss's determination to maintain control and restore order in his territory. As the boss and his associates confidently entered the factory, Jiang Ya, apparently anticipating their arrival, took a bold stance. Having learned about their pursuit, he calmly declared that there was no need to look for him. He had already arrived. His confident demeanor set the stage for a confrontation that would determine the balance of power in this abandoned environment. In contrast, Sue, absorbed in her virtual game, belatedly sensed the impending battle. Treating the situation as an exercise, she brought a unique perspective to the unfolding events, viewing the inevitable confrontation as a challenge to be overcome as part of her game. The merging of virtual and real experiences added even more complexity to the storytelling. Pointing to Jiang Ya as a potential threat, the gangsters, realizing the gravity of the situation, warned their boss of the impending confrontation. Their cautious tone reflected an acknowledgement of the unknown variables presented by Jiang Ya and urged the boss to approach the meeting with caution. When the gangsters surrounded Jiang Ya, intent on taking control, they inadvertently became trapped in his strategic position. The unexpected turn of events hinted at Jiang Ya's cunning and strategic skill, setting the stage for a confrontation in which the balance of power seemed more unstable than originally thought. Having begun the meeting, Jiang Ya, undaunted by the numerical superiority, prepared for the upcoming confrontation. His willingness to take the challenge head-on demonstrated a determination that went beyond the mere physical situation, bringing an element of determination and determination. In the middle of the action, Sue, engrossed in her virtual game, suddenly realized that she had forgotten to mention the dual purpose of the upcoming battle, a form of exercise. The juxtaposition of the tense confrontation in the real world with Sue's forgetfulness in the virtual world added humor to the developing narrative. One of the gang members introduced Jiang Ya to his boss, painting a vivid picture of his supposed malevolence and advising caution in dealing with this formidable foe. The emphasis on caution reflected recognition of the potential threat to Jiang Ya and the need for strategic consideration. As tensions escalated, two gangsters from the group urged their comrades to be aggressive, claiming it was the key to success in their gangster endeavors. The call for aggression hinted at the internal dynamics and values that defined the gang's approach to problem-solving, adding to the urgency of the upcoming confrontation. Undeterred by the growing tension and confident in his newfound strength, Zhang Ya prepared for the upcoming battle. Knowing that victory was now within his grasp, his determination and readiness demonstrated the progress he had made. The stage was set for a showdown that would test not only his physical abilities, but also his strategic acumen in the complex dynamics of gangs. Seeing Zhang Ya's confident smile, a shiver ran down their spines. This smile spoke of countless encounters on the brink of life and death. His comrade recognized him as an experienced warrior and urged the others to reconsider their approach. Showing carelessness, Zhang Ya extended his hand, allowing one of his opponents to absorb the force of his blow. This provocative gesture set the tone for the upcoming clash, demonstrating his confidence in his abilities. After delivering a quick blow to the enemy's stomach, Zhang Ya calmly ordered a surrender. A seamless combination of physical prowess and strategic communication emphasized his mastery of the unfolding situation, bringing an element of control to the confrontation. As the opponents nervously peered at their chests, a collective sense of relief washed over them. The fear of injury briefly gripped their minds when Zhang Ya struck, but to their reassurance, they were unharmed. The unexpected turn of events added some intrigue and relief to the dynamics of the brawl. Amidst the fighting and the seemingly harmless toy watch, the artifact at the heart of it all suddenly came to life. The activation of the watch hinted at its hidden capabilities, adding an element of mystery and potential surprise to the ongoing confrontation. There was laughter as the first opponent shrugged off Zhang Ya's blow. Their initial impression was of him as a formidable fighter, but they discovered that he was just a middle-aged man with a playful accessory. Undeterred, they chose to attack together, recognizing the need to overcome the unexpected resilience. Armed with the staff, they advanced, aiming for Zhang Ya's arms. In a reflexive attempt to defend himself, he bore the brunt of their attack. Surprisingly, the rod, intended to cause harm, succumbed to unexpected force. A metallic clang echoed as he collided with an unexpectedly strong obstacle, leaving Zhang Ya and his attackers in bewilderment and amazement. Saying that the road curved when she hit him, he said that he had yet to test the strength of his body after purifying his body. The bandits around were in shock. Zhang Ya took the rod and hit him on the head to try again, and then the rod bent. He smiled when he saw that nothing could hurt him anymore. The bandits surrounding the place stood in shock and silence, finding the unfolding events completely unbelievable. The unexpected turn of events left them bewildered, adding an element of surprise to the atmosphere. Skepticism took hold of one gangster who could not understand the reality in front of him. Trying to check the authenticity of the situation, he took a fire extinguisher and threw it directly at Zhang Ya's head. Zhang Ya, reacting to the blow, turned to face the source of concern. Despite the strong blow, he remained unharmed, as if the object had barely touched him. His display of resilience left viewers in a state of disbelief, questioning the boundaries of reality in front of them. The bandit who initiated the attack, realizing his miscalculation, immediately dropped to his knees in tears. Overwhelmed by remorse, he began to beg for mercy, admitting his wrongdoing in the face of Zhang Ya's seemingly invulnerable behavior. The emotional response added complexity to the unfolding narrative, revealing the impact of Zhang Ya's display of power on those present. They decided to run away before Zhang Ya could react and do anything. When he ran away, they called him crazy. He tried to stop them and said he just wanted to ask something. Seeing that they would not stop, he took gasoline and told them that if they did not stop, he would set the place on fire by blowing up the factory. Then everyone will die, but he won't. They gave up immediately after hearing his words. With the situation under control, Zhang Ya strictly instructed the gangsters to reveal the truth about their recent business dealings. He demanded full transparency, calling on them to disclose every detail of their recent activities. Meanwhile, in the underground base, vigilant guards were on duty, monitoring the surrounding area for any signs of suspicious persons or activities. The atmosphere in the secret facility was one of tension as guards remained on high alert, ready to respond to any potential threat. There were animals lying around inside the base, and among the animals, the head of the base was sitting and smoking. They planned to go up the mountain by midnight and shoot the broad tiger. If they had succeeded that night, they would have gone 3 years without hunting. He held up a card with a dark, dangerous aura, and then said that with this card they would not lose. The 2 guards watching over the underground base were wondering why no one had come with them to change yet. They were 10 minutes late and asked if they were feeding the mosquitoes at the base. They turned to Jiang Ya, who was working towards Mandiba, glad that at least one of them was approaching. They asked why it took him so long to come and asked if he was the only one who came. He apologized and said that he had some game and had a stomachache, so he came first. They reminded him how many times they had warned them not to open his own kitchen and complained about how they had stood there for so long. But as soon as he took out the cigarettes, their complaints lessened. Jiang Ya told them to give him a break and then told them that they should come and smoke a cigarette. It was actually a good thing. They liked the cigarette and also felt that it was quite good and convenient. They asked him what brand it was and said they had never seen it before. 2 minutes after smoking, they were knocked out. Jiang Ya told them that of course it was convenient because it was the best Yakushika Sutra recipe that was in the book that Su gave him. He tied up other guards who also smoked and behaved badly. They had no idea what was going on and then kept them behind walls. He remembered how he received information about the warehouse from the green-haired bandit he had beaten. If they didn't have the courage to look around the warehouse, then he had the courage, so he was going to see it. When Jiang Ya opened the door of the warehouse, an unbearable and putrid smell, similar to the stench of strong sin, wafted around. A dark and ominous aroma hung heavily in the air, creating an unsettling atmosphere. The heavy smell wafting from the warehouse hinted at something deeply disturbing, a smell tainted by the essence of intense sin, adding to the gravity of the situation. Determined to uncover the source of the ominous smell, Jiang Ya turned on the lights in the warehouse, illuminating the space and revealing the secrets hidden within. The sight that greeted Jiang Ya inside the warehouse was shocking and left him speechless. The contents of the room presented a disturbing picture that exceeded his expectations and caused a visceral reaction to the disturbing scene. The warehouse held a macabre collection. Dead animals, living animals, and the skeletal remains of some creatures coexisting in a grim tableau. This discovery plunged Jiang Ya into a realm of horror as the stark contrast between life and death unfolded before him in the confined space of the warehouse. The disturbing sight at the warehouse revealed a disturbing inventory of numerous endangered animals and plants, causing Jiang Ya to worry. He was gripped by a wave of speculation as to whether the warehouse was the center of a poaching ring facilitating an illegal trade that threatened these vulnerable species. Walking further through the warehouse, Jiang Ya's dissatisfaction grew as he realized the extent of the exploitation. The grim reality of endangered animals and plants trapped in this space weighed heavily on him, fueling a sense of urgency to address the injustice he faced. Suddenly, the bear slammed its paw onto the cage in front of him, catching Jiang Ya by surprise. The sudden and unexpected movement caused him to scream, revealing the tension and fear that permeated the environment. The bear, seemingly upset or agitated, echoed Jiang Ya's cry, releasing a loud and terrifying roar within the confines of its cage. The encounter heightened the atmosphere of confrontation, with the bear appearing ready to defend itself against perceived threats. Jiang Ya's empathy grew as he observed the animals in captivity, their confinement in stark contrast to the freedom they were supposed to enjoy. The realization of their limited existence brought about deep sadness, strengthening his determination to improve the plight of these imprisoned beings. Despite the bear's attempts to communicate, Jiang Ya found that he could not understand the meaning of his sounds. Language and species barriers prevented any meaningful understanding between them. Jiang Ya's suddenly inspired mind flashed like a light bulb, illuminating his thoughts. It dawned on him, a potential solution that could bridge the communication gap and reveal the messages hidden in the bear's attempts to convey something important. In the sinful world, the big bear is too tall and shouted that the sinful earth belongs to him since he is a black bear. He had no intention of letting anyone go. But his speech was interrupted when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He was momentarily confused. The hand led him out of the sinful world into the modern world. Jiang Ya crusted the bear's neck and told him to interpret what the caged bear was saying. The bear's sinful world was momentarily confused. Then after a moment, it dawned on him that he was no longer in a sinful world, that he was free, and the aura around him was the smell of Reiki. He cried out for joy that he was free and no longer in a sinful world, that he, the spirit of the black bear, had finally come out. Jiang Ya called him and told him to turn around. The bear asked who dared to provoke him, turning around. When he saw the special weapon of the sinful guardian of the world, he immediately recognized it. He knelt before the warden and thanked him for his hard work, then apologized for not seeing him or greeting him sooner. Jiang Ya told him to translate what the caged bear was saying, and the black bear got angry and asked who dared to keep them, the black bear, captive. He told him to hurry up and that he was holding him, wasn't he? So he told him to hurry up and translate. The bear told him that he would transfer immediately. The black bear approached the caged bear and listened to him as he recounted what had happened. She explained that she was a mama bear, and a man with a fire stick hunted them down and killed the entire family of black bears. She and her cub escaped and were caught. Mama bear cried, and then the black bear told Jiang Ya that Mama bear had already become a wise person because of the action she had taken. The black bear then turned to the warden and told him that he could smell that he didn't smell like the bad guys, so he wanted to beg him to save the bear's mother and their children. After listening to the translation, Jiang Ya opened the door to the sinful world and threw the bear into the sinful world, while he shouted, saying that he was imprisoned by the word of sin to avenge his family. Hearing the bear's cry of being in pain as he walked through the door, he knew that his current demon release level was still very low, and his entire body felt very weak. After that, he approached the mama bear who was in the cage and told her that he would deal with the poaching gang and that she should not worry, but there were other things that he needed her help with. Deep in the forest, a wildlife warden carefully followed tracks that hinted at the presence of poachers, people who had previously wreaked havoc on the fragile ecosystem by mercilessly killing wildlife. His intuition warned him that the poachers were at it again, this time seeking to destroy the lives of other innocent creatures in the nearby forest. Among the trees, two gangsters observing an illegal operation were amused to see a mother bear fiercely protecting her precious cub. A wildlife guard quickly appeared, waving a gun and sternly ordering them to stop their malicious actions. In a matter of seconds, both gangsters lay wounded, victims of their own malice. The steadfast guard vowed to prevent them from escaping justice. His firearm pointed firmly at the fallen intruders. The gang boss recognized the loyal forester, remembering their previous meeting when he was chased and shot. He asked for confirmation of the ranger's identity, stating that this time luck would not be on the ranger's side. The unfazed ranger was informed that the gang leader had strengthened his forces and was confident that he could not be stopped. Drawing their weapons, the gangsters targeted both the ranger and the protective bear. In despair, the ranger questioned the prevalence of lawlessness among the villains. Just as the tension reached its peak, Jiang Ya materialized in front of the forester, declaring that justice would prevail now that he had arrived. Addressing the ranger, Jiang Ya instructed him to inform the forest police and the landscape bureau of the current situation. Expressing concern, the ranger advised Jiang Ya to be careful, emphasizing the urgent need to disseminate information about poaching. While observing the scene, one of the gang members expressed suspicion, doubting the sudden turn of events. Another gang member shared this opinion, confident that the boss never missed a beat. The gang leader's demeanor changed, and he acknowledged the uneasy feeling, the awareness that something was wrong. Sensing the presence of this type of ghost card, the gang leader decided to let Jiang Ya drain his ghost energy, realizing the value of what the intruder possessed. After giving instructions to his band, the chief ordered them to release all their ammunition without fear. Jiang Ya, momentarily puzzled, wondered if the gang leader knew about the world of sins, given his mention of valuable assets. Bullets were fired at Jiang Ya, but none of them hit the target, and they inexplicably fell to the ground, reaching his face. Realizing that they were out of ammo, the gang member informed the boss that based on his experience, the remaining ammo should be sufficient. Approaching confidently, the gang leader held his ghost mark, expressing ignorance about the sect that had given out Jiang Ya's ghost mark. Zhang Ya, who suddenly appeared behind him, suspected the gang leader's involvement with the corrupt sect, especially after hearing him discuss the ghost card. The gang leader who tried to strike with the special stick found his efforts futile, indicating that Zhang Ya was not an evil practitioner. Recalling the conversation with Su about the effectiveness of divine weapons for practitioners only, Zhang Ya was surprised to learn that the gang leader was not an evil practitioner. The gang leader asked if Zhang Ya's ghost card was an illusion, which prompted Zhang Ya to remember her previous conversation with Su. Realizing that he could not directly fight the gang leader, Zhang Ya prepared to teach him a lesson using an alternative approach. Using his powers, Zhang Ya created a golden bed, surprising the gang leader with this unexpected display of mystical skill. Ordering the bird to summon wild animals, Zhang Ya gathered a formidable assembly of creatures around him. Supporting the wild, Zhang Ya addressed the gang leader, declaring that he had sinned against these innocent creatures and allowed nature itself to administer justice. In a state of panic, the poachers found themselves surrounded by wild animals, realizing that their ammunition had been exhausted and they were left defenseless. The gang leader, confused by the unexpected turn of events, doubted Zhang Ya's identity, doubting the ghost card's ability to control animals and birds. Undeterred, Zhang Ya boldly stated that he did not expect the gang leader to believe that he could control animals, stating that if such a power existed, he would have used it long ago. Agreeing with the gang leader's skepticism, Zhang Ya explained that he did not control the animals, but instead sought guidance from his ancestors, offering a metaphorical lecture to the wildlife. Thus he explained that his influence over the creatures came from a spiritual connection rather than direct control. Taking charge, Zhang Ya ordered the nearest wolf to approach and attack. The creature obediently followed his instructions. Taking advantage of the moment, the gang leader rallied his comrades, ordering them to gather around. Despite the pleas of some members, the boss assured them that working with wild animals was nothing new, urging them to confront any newcomers with lethal force, pointedly declaring that they were not afraid. Zhang Ya explained to them that usually wild animals roam independently. However, the current situation made fighting them more manageable since they were united. Using a strategy to organize all the animals, including the flying swordsman and the raptor, required careful positioning. Each attack on wildlife proved futile, instilling fear as they realized their limitations. The gang leader felt growing frustration as he was faced with the prospect of using the energy stored in his ghost card. Using such energy for this purpose would take 2 years of his life, leaving him with no alternative. As Fei Louis drove her car, she was haunted by memories of the ominous aura she had felt a few days earlier. Subsequently, a ghostly omen of an ominous path increased her anxiety, leaving her perplexed about recent events. Following the ghostly trail, she discovered a poacher's warehouse, but alas, she arrived too late by a stroke of luck. Suddenly, a forester came out of the forest and intercepted her car. Approaching her window, he warned her against further action and, upon inquiry, informed her of an ongoing emergency that was unsuitable for camping. He was overcome with confusion when Fei mysteriously disappeared from her car, leaving him confused. Baffled by the supernatural events of that day, one being invulnerable to bullets and another inexplicably disappearing, the ranger found the circumstances quite strange. Reflecting on the unusual series of coincidences, he noted the fearlessness of bullets and the spontaneous disappearance, adding another layer of intrigue to the events of the day. Once again in pursuit of the ghostly trail, Fei climbed the tree, following the scent she had first caught a few days ago. She then froze as she smelled the scent of sin ahead, a familiar scent from before. When the gang boss activated the ghost card, he was enveloped in an ominous purple light, forcefully pushing away all the wild animals nearby. Seeing the transformation into evil, the wild animals fled, prompting him to order the white animals to leave the premises immediately. However, Zhang Ya responded by unsheathing his special weapon, launching an attack infused with the power of the ghost card, Insect Swarm. He boldly asserted that his boss's evil antics would not harm him. Reacting to the unfolding events, the boss launched an attack, forcing the surrounding plants to contain Zhang Ya. He casually instructed Zhang Ya to enjoy his predicament while he prepared to leave. As he was about to leave, Fei appeared and cast her own spell, declaring him a demon doomed to punishment. Watching the struggle, Zhang Ya asked if Fei had come to his aid, noting the plant's power as a minor obstacle. Realizing the need to escape, the boss wasted no time in devising an exit strategy and launched attacks to divert their attention. Fei realized the sheer number of reinforcements and acknowledged her inability to handle them all at once. Choosing a strategic retreat, the boss used his reinforcements, ensuring an escape without loss. Pointing at the fleeing man, Zhang Ya informed Fei that he had slipped out of their hands. Casting another spell, Fei ordered her bright red bird to apprehend the fleeing thief. The boss, determined to avoid capture, used a ghostly smoke transport to quickly move. Zhang Ya immediately realized the need to prevent his escape, emphasizing the importance of bypassing the protection spell cast on him. Sensing the right moment, Fei ordered the cinnabar blade to begin action. The scarlet bird complied, spitting fire from its mouth at the fleeing gang boss who was attempting to transport the ghost, resulting in a fiery explosion. Despite the disturbing vibes, the boss explained to Fei that he was a virtuous man with skills in capturing demons, albeit with a touch of darkness. Zhang Ya's concentration was shaken when he received notification that the demon had reappeared, urging him to quickly apprehend the elusive enemy. Having successfully taken possession of the bandit's body, the demon immediately asserted its dominance, stating in no uncertain terms that the vessel was now his. However, faced with unexpected resistance from the original owner unwilling to relinquish control, the demon found it difficult to assert its full ownership of the body. The purple-headed girl, unable to ignore the strange situation, inquired about the man's condition. Zhang Ya explained that the recent attack had knocked the man unconscious, which provided the right moment for the demon to take control. While observing the demon's enormous power, Zhang Ya noticed the increase in the Sin world's power flowing into the essence. Paradoxically, this accidentally took his body-enhancing artifact out of the hands of the world of Sin, giving him greater freedom of movement. Apologizing for her previous suspicions, the purple-headed girl expressed her remorse to Zhang Ya, who graciously accepted her apology, understanding the nature of the misunderstanding. Despite their previous tension, they once again focused on the upcoming battle with the demon, each preparing their weapons, Zhang Ya with her golden staff and the purple-headed girl with her talisman. Suddenly, before they could begin their attack, the demon slyly positioned itself behind the purple-headed girl, taunting her with comments about the enticing aroma of her flesh. Quickly launching an attack to cut off her head, the demon was stopped by Zhang Ya, who instinctively used his arm as a shield to protect his companion. After biting Zhang Ya's hand, the demon recoiled, expressing disgust at the unfamiliar taste, prompting him to wonder about the nature of the disgusting substance. The enraged demon aggressively attacked Zhang Ya and the purple-headed girl, berating them for their perceived hypocrisy and alienation, while demanding their lives. Recognizing the overwhelming power of the demon's attack, the purple-headed girl expressed concern. However, Zhang Ya assured her that their defense did not lie in physical strength, but in their unique skills. After the demon's attack, Zhang Ya felt an ominous infection in the area where he was struck, losing awareness of his surroundings, vision, and even executing his own attacks. Succumbing to a mysterious illness, Zhang Ya collapsed to the ground, prompting the purple-headed girl to rush towards him, calling in vain for him as he passed out. Quickly administering the life-saving elixir, the purple-headed girl assured Zhang Ya of its rapid effectiveness and urged him to flee urgently if time was of the essence. In a gesture of reconciliation for their previous misunderstanding, she explained that the elixir served as compensation, emphasizing her sincerity in helping him. Turning her attention to the demon, the purple-headed girl activated her True Battle Blood talisman card, summoning the power of Sprint and warning the demon of the impending encirclement by thousands of righteous. Ignoring her warning, the demon mockingly shrugged off her attack power, responding with an active attack that hit her in the face. Laughing, the demon declared his intention to not only take over the purple-headed girl's body, but also to dominate the collective consciousness of righteous people throughout the world. Just as the demon prepared to cause harm, Zhang Ya entered the fight again, causing the purple-headed girl to be surprised and worried. She urgently urged him to flee before the demon turned its aggression on him. Contrary to her request, Jiang Yi declared his commitment to the battle, stating that he could not give up the fight and must stay behind to confront the malevolent entity. In response to the demon's question about Jiang Ya's choice of weapon, the sword, the conversation was interrupted as the demon hinted at a potential tactic to let his guard down. Jiang Yi, speaking to the demon, advised against being too shy, admitting that he too had recently learned these sword techniques. However, the main thought lingered in his head. He resorted to blackmail pills to restore blood. Hearing Jiang Yi's revelation, the demon could not contain his disdain, calling him a simple martial arts practitioner. He doubted the audacity of Jiang Yi's secret attack. The imperturbable demon asserted his superiority by casually stating that the small wound inflicted on him was insignificant. With an air of arrogance, he declared that he was able to correct this by using the energy of his soul, warning against unjustified arrogance. Thinking about the demon's mention of soul energy, the purple-haired figure couldn't help but remember its nature. After sharing this knowledge with Jiang Yi, she identified it as a bloody soul curse, revealing a sinister connection. Explaining the sinister origins of the ghost card, she explained that it was created through a blood spirit spell, a malevolent spell that cleanses the life force of mortals by feeding their souls. Realizing the dangerous consequences of the demon's evil spell, she urged Jiang Yi to be careful. In offering her assistance, she expressed her intention to momentarily detain the demon, giving him the opportunity to escape if he chose to do so. Ignoring the purple-headed girl's worries, Jiang Yi calmed her down. He proclaimed himself a super soldier, confident in his ability to face any challenge. At the same time, he encouraged her to observe, emphasizing his ability to easily cope with the situation. Without hesitation, Jiang Yi quickly moved towards the menacing demon, assuring the purple-headed girl that he would return soon. In response, she anxiously advised him to exercise caution in the face of danger. The persistent demon taunted Jiang Yi, constantly urging him to get closer. With a maniacal laugh escaping his lips, the demon ominously promised that sooner or later Jiang Yi's flesh would become his property. Using a dynamic strategy, Jiang Yi launched a barrage of attacks from multiple directions, skillfully dodging the demon's retaliatory strikes. In a daring maneuver, he used the cleaver martial arts style, flying into the sky with impressive agility. Taking the opportunity, the demon questioned Jiang Yi about the martial arts power he had unleashed. With an air of malice, he stated his intention to kill him, but also suggested that such an attempt would be futile if one simply used a martial art. To the demon's amazement, Jiang Yi disappeared from the sky and reappeared right in front of him. With a decisive move, he plunged his golden sword into the demon's heart, leaving him in shock and agony. Jiang Yi explained that he used an orderly sword-slash technique specifically designed to defeat demons like his opponent. Further, Jiang Yi revealed that he used the ghost sword style to disguise the true nature of his attack. With a sly grin, he asked the demon if he understood his tactics, while maintaining a knowing expression on his face. Rejecting the demon with a vulgar gesture, Jiang Yi asserted his superiority in single combat, claiming that despite the demon's age advantage, he was the preeminent lone assassin in the country. Recognizing Jiang Yi's prowess, the demon recognized his value as a formidable opponent among many. The unfazed demon declared the invincibility of his blood-soul spell, claiming that as long as his soul body remained intact, his soul energy would persist, making him immortal. Amused by the demon's bravado, Jiang Yi urged him to realize the gravity of his predicament and ordered him to examine the wound on his chest. Puzzled, the demon asked about Jiang Yi's cryptic statement, but soon realized that his soul energy was dissipating. Confused, he wondered where the elusive energy of his soul was. Jiang Yi, taking the opportunity, explained that his only goal in the confrontation was to get closer to the demon, opening the door to the world of sin. As the demon groaned in agony, Jiang Yi bid him farewell, pushing him towards the door of the world of sins with triumphant determination. In the world of sin, another person boasted of his sword skills and mused about the possibility of living without them, a manifestation of sword madness. Sensing the intrusion, the figure turned around and marveled at the energy of the demon's soul, finding it a powerful tonic. He scolded the demon for the impudent intrusion into his domain. Exhausted but victorious, Jiang Yai and the purple-headed girl lay on the ground, sighing in relief as they accepted that it was finally over. Jiang Yai, despite his recent victory over the evil demon, found that there was an uneasy feeling inside him, a nagging feeling that something was wrong, as if the evil force had not been completely eradicated. However, he struggled to identify the source of his anxiety or understand the reasons for this constant anxiety. At the same time, on the top of a distant mountain, a demon suddenly awoke, uttering a piercing scream. Furiously questioning, the demon sought answers to the question of who sent his double. The young man, taking on a leadership role, ordered a fellow policeman to take him to the place where the captured bandits were being detained. Pushing the officer forward, he emphasized the urgency of their mission. He further informed the police officer of a well-meaning citizen in need of rescue, emphasizing the need to expedite their intervention and rescue the said person. Their shock increased when they reached the place where the bandits had been captured. To their surprise, the criminals were stretched out, some sleeping and others suspended in unconventional positions, leaving the young man and the policeman momentarily speechless. Explaining the scene, the young man claimed that the figures lying on the ground were indeed murderers. However, their leader was conspicuously absent, causing them to turn their attention to his location. Heading in a different direction, they encountered a leader who exhibited erratic behavior, walking aimlessly, singing and dancing enthusiastically. The young man and the policeman watched in shock, struggling with the inexplicable transformation of the leader and his group. As Jiang Yai and the purple-headed girl, along with the young man and the policeman, chased the enraged leader, convincing him to stop, Jiang Yai couldn't help but think that justice had finally been done. He expected the killer to be apprehended and subsequently imprisoned for a significant period, perhaps 8 to 10 years. Amidst these thoughts, the purple-headed girl expressed confidence that they would be rewarded for their virtuous deed when they eventually returned. Intrigued, Jiang Yai turned to her, bringing them into close proximity, and asked about the nature of the reward. The purple-headed girl blushed as she responded shyly, begging him to keep some distance due to their closeness, her face turning red. Quickly reacting to her discomfort, Jiang Yai quickly apologized, assuring her that he would back off for a moment once he had improved his situation. To his surprise, when he discovered that the bodybuilder inside him had activated, he panicked and urgently shouted to her to clear the way. However, she remained perplexed, unable to understand the unfolding situation. Suddenly, he collapsed on top of her, shame etched on his face as the bodybuilder wrested control of his body. The purple-headed girl, confused and distrustful, couldn't help but look at him in amazement. Reacting quickly, she pushed him away, her disappointment obvious. After a strong push, she screamed and hit Jiang Yai in the face. Uncomfortably, he could only stare back, and his cheek now bore the mark of her displeasure. Collecting her strength, she cleared her throat and addressed Jiang Yai, expressing understanding for his recent loss of strength in their battle. However, she reproached him sternly, insisting that such actions should not be repeated. Continuing to explain the nature of the reward, she revealed that it was a collective effort funded by several respected sects to recognize and reward those who upheld righteousness. She then questioned Jiang Yai about his treasure, inquiring whether it was a storage vessel and whether there were potential dangers associated with it. Speechless, Jiang Yai struggled to formulate a response. Continuing her investigation, she insisted, asking if the treasure was unnamed and urging him, as a cultivator, to hand it over to the Cultivator Alliance for identification to avoid potential danger. Rejecting this offer, Jiang Yai stated that it was not necessary, suddenly remembering that he had forgotten to turn off the stove before engaging in battle with the demon. Opening the door, he made it clear that he was going to leave. Before the purple-headed girl could react, he walked through the door, closing it behind him. Left desperate, she expressed her annoyance by asking why he couldn't offer her a ride. Appearing on the other side of the door of his house, Jiang Yai breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that he had left before the purple-headed girl could question him further. Upon his return, Su threw a box at him, announcing that his alchemical potion was ready. However, she informed him that his alchemy furnace was faulty and urged him to replace it with a new one by the next day. Confused by the mention of a potion stove, Zhang Yai struggled to understand the concept, wondering if it had anything to do with his pressure cooker. Determined to solve the mystery, he headed to the kitchen and discovered that the potion oven was none other than his beloved pressure cooker, now destroyed, leaving his kitchen in disarray. Overwhelmed by sadness over the state of his destroyed kitchen, Kangria found himself on the verge of tears. Su, on the other hand, looked at him with a knowing look, acknowledging his actions on that fateful day. She assured him of a promising future, calling him by his pet name, Kangria. Before delving into current affairs, Su expressed her desire to witness how Kangria handled her upcoming encounter with the elusive old ghoul who had yet to show up. Opening the box entrusted to her by Zhang Yai, Su opened it only to find out that he was hesitant to consume the elixir she created. Undeterred, she insisted that he take part in it, claiming that he lacked an understanding of what was healthy. Zhang Yai responded by pointing at the uniform round shape of the items, wondering who would dare to eat such a dark dish. Undeterred by his resistance, Su sternly urged him to prepare for the upcoming battle. Showing her disappointment, she forcefully opened his mouth and poured the dark dish down his throat, emphasizing the need for his physical improvement. Helplessly, Zhang Yai watched as the dark mixture entered his system, pondering the consequences of the imminent battle. Curious, Zhang Yai asked for clarification on which button to press, but Su stated that he should enter the battle on his own. She announced her departure to collect herbs for him, assuring that these herbs would help improve his body. Before leaving, Su lovingly handed him a bag of savings, encouraging him to carry it with him wherever he went. Placing it on the table where Zhang Yai was lying, she reminded him to use it in fights or anything else. As Zhang Yai contemplated the upcoming battle, Su's mention of it lingered in his thoughts, prompting him to wonder whether he should learn more about his opponent or the specifics of the confrontation. While thinking, a boy came in and confidently stood in front of Zhang Yai, asking about the availability of cakes for purchase. The boy put the money on the table with a smile, expressing his desire to buy. Zhang Yai was struggling with thoughts of the upcoming battle when a boy, supposedly a buyer, hired him in an attempt to purchase one of his cakes. Apologizing, Zhang Yai checked his drawer only to realize that he had run out of cakes due to intense training. He apologized to the disappointed child, explaining that he had run out of cakes. Undeterred, the next day Zhang Yai visited Old Man Lao Zhou's establishment, expressing his intention to replenish his supplies for the day. Seeing the exorbitant prices of ice cream, Zhang Yai couldn't help but comment on their unavailability, expressing his financial difficulties to Old Man Lao Zhou. Addressing Old Man Lao Zhou in a gentle tone, Zhang Yai asked for a more reasonable price, urging his acquaintance to make a good deal. Engaging in polite conversation, Zhang Yai requested an affordable price, emphasizing their mutual familiarity to ensure a more economical deal. The digital clock on the wall flashed the elongated numbers 586, but Old Man Lao Zhou, weathered by time, suddenly turned on his heel. With amazing agility, he rushed at Zhang Yai, sinking his teeth into his hand with a fury that caused crimson rivers of blood to flow. The unexpected attack prompted Zhang Yai to demand an explanation, confused by the fact that Lao Zhou's body, seemingly strong with successful bone marrow, succumbed to the pressure of the biting teeth with stunning ease. Looking at his hand, the tendrils of purple smoke billowing from the wound, Zhang Yai couldn't help but feel like some poisonous force was trying to infect him. The eerie sight piqued his curiosity, causing him to wonder about the nature of this sinister art. Undeterred, Old Man Cho launched another attack, forcing Zhang Yai to draw his golden sword. In that moment, he couldn't ignore the realization that this was the very confrontation Su had warned him about. Faced with Old Man Cho's aggression, Zhang Yai declared his friendship and vowed to protect his comrade, even at the cost of his life. Repeated blows to Old Man Cho's head caused the elderly attacker to collapse to the ground. Zhang Yai, assessing the consequences, came to the conclusion that he had done everything possible to save his friend. Without hesitation, he put Old Man Chow on his tricycle and rushed towards the hospital at breakneck speed. Rushing towards the hospital, Jiang Yi met a crowd of people. Desperate to reach his destination, he begged them to give way, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. Suddenly, the crowd turned and glared at him. A collective movement ensued as they rushed towards him, revealing a disturbing truth. They were under some kind of malevolent influence. Observing the strange behavior of the townspeople, Jiang Yi could not understand the reason. He muttered the word biohazard and sensed a pervasive threat in the air. On the roof of the hospital building, an old demon grinned triumphantly. It became obvious that he orchestrated this massive manipulation, keeping the entire city under his evil power. Realizing that relying solely on his whip against the crowd would be futile, Jiang Yi pondered the dire situation. The sheer number of people being manipulated dissuaded him from trying his luck. Recognizing that violence was not the solution, Jiang Yi considered alternative methods to save the townspeople from the clutches of manipulation. He was aware of the risk of permanent harm to them if he resorted to force. Faced with the urgency of the situation, Jiang Yi decided to flee on his tricycle, buying time to strategize and develop a longer-term solution to free the townspeople from the mysterious control. As he maneuvered through the stricken city, it dawned on him. The manipulation had ensnared every resident. The enormity of the predicament weighed heavily on him, urging him to seek a comprehensive solution to this comprehensive crisis. Jiang Yi noticed the widespread impact on the entire city and couldn't help but perceive it as a serious problem considering his lack of knowledge about magic. As he thought about it, he realized that he was on the verge of colliding with one of the residents while riding his tricycle. In a hasty response, he got off the tricycle to avoid harming the townspeople. Sensing that something was wrong, he couldn't resist admitting the problem when the tricycle stopped. This made it obvious, and he was genuinely concerned that he had unintentionally caused harm to the townspeople. Reflecting on the situation, he expressed suspicion that the affected people resembled those who were affected by the ghost card in the previous encounter. Alternatively, he wondered if the incident was related to a previous incident he had witnessed. Stating that if this were the case, then the solution to this problem would be simple, since he had the power to use any item that fell within the realm of sin. Consequently, he ordered the ghost card to be handed over to him, intending to use it to stop the manipulated people. As he watched the manipulated woman prostrate on the ground, he was unable to suppress a scream as he realized that the ghost card was powerful, serving as a random means to thwart his attackers. Recognizing its exceptional effectiveness, he came to the conclusion that propriety should not limit him in its use. Moreover, he decided to deploy it unconditionally, using its full potential. A wave of manipulated people came upon him, prompting him to quickly present the ghost card, ready to take decisive action. When the manipulated townspeople saw the ghost map, their cohesion fell apart, hindering their progress towards Jiang Yi. Witnessing this phenomenon, Jiang Yi, instead of succumbing to overconfidence, was unable to suppress his anxiety as he loudly questioned the whereabouts of the evil mastermind. Before he could continue information about the mastermind's whereabouts, the ghost card clutched in his hand fell victim to a secret attack. Throwing away the ruined ghost card, he looked around his surroundings, asking about his attacker with his pulsating, wounded hand. The revealed mastermind, a demon, confronted Jiang Yi, claiming his ancient origins and emphasizing that even Jiang Yi's ancestors had not yet been born at the time of his birth. Explaining this, the demon urged Jiang Yi to listen carefully to his presentation. Towering with an unyielding appearance, he proclaimed himself to be the scion of the corpse king shogun named Bile. Unperturbed, young Jiang Yi expressed skepticism, suggesting that the demon seemed malicious. He demanded that the demon explain the poisoning of the entire city, attributing it to Kang Jiang Yi's family. Grinning eccentrically, the demon hinted at a connection with the sinful word in Jiang Yi's possession as a possible catalyst for misfortune. When faced with an important decision, Jiang Yi found himself at a crossroads, torn between willingly cooperating with the formidable being before him or succumbing to the sinister alternative of coercion through force. In response to the demon's alarming proposal, Jiang Yi maintained his outward composure, displaying a calm and collected demeanor. He expressed a feeling of relief, apparently unfazed by the disturbing words coming from the otherworldly creature. Raising his golden staff with authority, Jiang Yi declared that the upcoming confrontation was a battle he was looking forward to, showing his willingness to take part in the upcoming conflict. Quickly springing into action, he aggressively attacked the demon with his shiny golden staff, using a formidable offensive maneuver to gain the upper hand in the ensuing fight. However, Jiang Yi's confidence quickly turned to surprise as the demon easily dodged his attack, responding with a mocking laugh. The unexpected turn of events left Jiang Yi visibly shocked and surprised. Taking advantage of the moment, the demon considered this meeting a simple blow, downplaying its significance. He informed Jiang Yi that there was no reason to be alarmed or surprised, which had diminished the Yang family's apparent strength over the years. Reflecting on the passage of time, the demon expressed skepticism about the Yang family's supposed rise in power. This comment set the stage for further exchanges of blows and words between the two opponents. With a dismissive gesture, the demon struck Jiang Yi's golden staff with his finger, noting the unexpected fragility of the Realm Lord's weapon. The staff cracking under pressure left Jiang Yi at a loss. Despite the failure, Jiang Yi urged to continue their ongoing battle, urging the demon to continue his efforts. Undeterred, he tasked the demon with playing his part in the unfolding conflict. Using one of his most powerful techniques, the stab sword style, Jiang Yi aimed at the demon's heart with precision that instilled a sense of awe in his formidable opponent. As the battle intensified, the demon, now facing a formidable technique, taunted Jiang Yi by revealing his cultivation mastery, mastering corpse drought, a skill focused on destroying qi and blood. Jiang Yi's powerful techniques aimed at the demon's heart caused a reaction from the enemy, who expressed a mixture of pride and contempt at the sight of the weapon in Jiang Yi's hands. In a moment of revelation, the demon recognized the origin of Jiang Yi's weapon, contrasting it with the superior skill of his ancestors. This realization increased the demon's anger at Jiang Yi's choice of weapons. Enraged by Jiang Yi's perceived inadequacy, the demon launched a formidable attack, prompting Jiang Yi to use all his skills to evade the oncoming attack. Boasting of his control over the cultivation of corpse drought, the demon threatened to cut off Jiang Yi's hand, the very hand that opened the worlds of sin, claiming that Jiang Yi had reached the limit of his abilities. Showing his superiority, the demon arrogantly stated that Jiang Yi must admit his inferiority as he delivered a decisive blow to Jiang Yi's leg from behind. Reveling in his dominance, the demon insisted that Jiang Yi admit defeat, emphasizing the vast difference in their strengths and capabilities. Continuing to expand on his ancient history, the demon spoke of his long period of sleep, during which he used the energy of his corpse to observe the outside world. He expressed disbelief at his encounter with the world of sin and lamented his inability to remain invisible. Despite the demon's overwhelming power, he offered Jiang Yi an alternative, a chance to surrender. However, this offer was made on the condition that Jiang Yi become a blood slave, a prospect that Jiang Yi categorically rejected. Undeterred by the demon's offer, Jiang Yi looked the formidable creature in the eyes and immediately refused, preferring disobedience to the prospect of becoming enslaved by the demon's blood pact. At this critical moment, the demon menacingly warns him that if he does not cooperate, the consequences will include fighting him through the manipulation of his creepy puppets. Taking command of his evil puppets, he orders them to attack Jiang Yi, while ominously predicting that his fleshy puppets will torture him mercilessly for the rest of his existence. Seeing the impending doom, Jiang Yi realizes the gravity of the situation with a heavy heart. Although Su had left him a bag, it seemed futile as entering the world of sin, his only source of potential help, was no longer an option. Suddenly a figure appears, waving a talisman and rushing towards Jiang Yi. A mysterious purple-headed girl attaches a talisman to Jiang Yi's body, surprising him with its healing properties. Before he can express his gratitude, she advises him to seek reinforcements, as her talismans can only fend off a limited number of attacks. Turning to face the enemy, she prepares numerous talismans in preparation for the imminent battle. Making attacks with her talismans, she calls on Jiang Yi to quickly provide support in case of an impending conflict. The demon, unable to contain his curiosity, asks about the Tianxin school's set of mascots, expressing disdain for their tactics. After the battle, Zhang Yai asks the purple-haired girl about the mysterious pouch. She confirms that this is a forbidden treasure, a world of sins that he could not mention before. Immediately agreeing, Zhang Yai opens the world of sins, revealing its contents. Taking the bag from the world of sins, Zhang Yai confidently declares his intention to reveal its contents. Showing a proud smile, he opens the pouch, declaring that the demon he encountered earlier will definitely meet his death with the item contained inside. Witnessing the powerful aura emanating from the pouch, the demon becomes wary, aware of the potential danger if Zhang Yai is successful. Zhang Yai, however, beams with happiness as he reveals the contents of the pouch, only to be shocked to find a kitchen knife along with a note from Su explaining that it is a unique weapon made for him. Holding the knife, Zhang Yai explains the situation to the purple-headed girl, dismissing any concerns and expressing her familiarity with kitchen knife tactics. The impassive purple-haired girl encourages him, believing in his abilities for the upcoming battle. Despite her skepticism, Zhang Yai reassures her by emphasizing his skill with a kitchen knife. With renewed determination, they once again rush into battle against the demons and their puppets. Confused, the demon searches for his puppets, prompting him to question the purple-headed girl about their whereabouts. Before he can elaborate, Zhang Yai surprises him with a quick attack, claiming that if the whip doesn't defeat him, then the kitchen knife surely will. Rejecting Zhang Yai's trust, the demon insists that a simple kitchen knife cannot penetrate a corpse's body. Unfazed, Zhang Yai raises the kitchen knife high and hits the demon's head, leaving the demon confused and declaring that such an incident should be impossible. Recognizing the effectiveness of the kitchen knife, Zhang Yai enjoys ridiculing the demon while remembering his earlier skepticism. Zhang Yai continues to mock the demon, who admits defeat, no longer able to maintain his true form. In a desperate move, the demon transforms into his true demonic form, contemplating using Zhang Yai and the world of sins to create a new body. However, Zhang Yai assured him that death had visited him many times, and he was no longer afraid of a simple demon. Thinking about the usefulness of a kitchen knife, he envisioned using it as a weapon against a malicious entity. In the midst of the attack, the kitchen knife was suddenly snatched from Zhang Yai's hands by the now transformed demon. Zhang Yai, tightly gripped by the demon's tentacle-like appendages, found himself unable to escape the entity's grip. The demon, whose tentacles were entangling Zhang Yai, looked at him with a mixture of rage and malice, furiously urging him to meet his death. Lifting Zhang Yai with his octopus-like limbs, the demon tried to strangle him in mid-air. Despite the danger, Zhang Yai pointedly informed the demon that the confrontation was far from over. In an instant, he brought a kitchen knife towards him. When a kitchen knife materialized in Zhang Yai's hands, he quickly used it to cut the tightly coiled octopus limb that had trapped him. This distraction caught the demon off guard, giving Zhang Yai the opportunity to evade and retreat from the malevolent entity. Watching Zhang Yai flee, the demon, now angry, decided that Zhang Yai of the Yang family would become his prey. However, before the demon's attack reached Zhang Yai, a purple-haired girl materialized, creating a protective barrier. She demanded that the demon release Zhang Yai. Urging Zhang Yai to flee, the purple-haired girl promised to use her enormous abilities to stop the demon from pursuing him. Zhang Yai, however, rejected this proposal, stating that he had already developed a plan. Intrigued, the purple-haired girl inquired about the plan, but the demon considered Zhang Yai's intentions to be mere bragging. Undeterred, Zhang Yai showed the piece of paper given to him by Su, which outlined a strategic plan that included activating the brocade bug and waiting 3 minutes for her to arrive. Before the demon could react, Zhang Yai triumphantly announced Su's presence, joyfully pointing at the newly opened portal. Coming out of the portal, Su floated in the air, leaving both the purple-haired girl and the evil demon amazed and speechless. Su playfully complained to Zhang Yai about being interrupted while watching a movie, teasing him about paying for her ticket. In response, the demon was amazed by Su's powerful aura and doubted her identity. Amused, Su hinted at a connection to the remains of the Taoist corpse left behind by Shogun Bile. The imperturbable demon insisted that Su reveal his cult, but she disparagingly called him a child spouting nonsense. Confused, the demon struggled to find Su, realizing that he could not see her or sense her presence. The confused demon looked around the area in a vain attempt to locate the elusive Su. He also asked himself if this incredible display of agility was simply a result of her masterful speed technique, or if it was simply a testament to her exceptional physical strength. However, Su suddenly materialized next to him, asking about his quest and advising him to abandon pretense and enter the upcoming battle without hesitation. However, he communicated to Su his hesitancy to face her, expressing uncertainty about her seniority and expressing a desire to leave. With determination, he plunged his octopus-like hands into the ground, thinking that launching an attack would be wiser than waiting for imminent danger. Zhang Yai was stunned as the octopus demon's arms turned into razor-sharp claws that came out of the ground and trapped them in an inescapable position. As the demon's appendages turned into deadly claws, mercilessly digging into the ground around it, the prospect of escape seemed increasingly elusive. Su immediately dismissed the unfolding spectacle as a mere childish prank, challenging Zhang Yai to prepare for the upcoming confrontation, to which he responded without hesitation. To begin the battle, Su decided to use her popcorn as an unconventional weapon against her demonic opponent, throwing it with precision in the absence of any other item or weapon available. The demon watched in disbelief as the seemingly harmless popcorn turned into a razor-sharp projectile that nearly cut through his skin, an astonishing occurrence that made him question the nature of such an unexpected transformation. Seeing his octopus limbs being torn off one by one due to the sharpness of the popcorn, the demon struggled with intense pain and the realization of the unexpectedly deadly nature of the popcorn. By cutting off parts of his body, he expressed his inability to endure excruciating pain, prompting him to reveal his final move and pointedly declare that Su could not defeat him. Using his final move, he sacrificed his chi and blood, ensuring his resurrection, and imbuing him with the lasting aura of a corpse, marking the emergence of a ruthless and formidable opponent. Su seemed tired of playing with the remains of the Taoist man. She declared that she would no longer hold him back, raising her hand to channel her energy. Su raised her left hand to manipulate the yin energy, while her right hand dropped to manipulate the yang energy. In this synchronized movement, she created a reverse yin and yang formation. Channeling the reverse yin and yang energy towards the inert body of the Taoist man who stood at the core of the formation, he reciprocated by releasing his own powers. Despite Taoist man's constant efforts to circulate his energy, he found himself regressing into a mortal. Puzzled by this transformation, given that his corpse's ki had been preserved for millennia, he questioned the inexplicable turn of events. Still thinking, Zhang Ya quickly walked over with his weapon, declaring that it was his turn to engage in battle. Hitting the Taoist man on the head, he flew to the side, spewing blood. Zhang Ya quickly opened a portal to the world of sins, ordering him to leave his chi and blood and serve his punishment. The portal engulfed the Taoist man, causing Su to jump in joy as she tore out the ethereal forms. Zhang Ya expressed joy, although with concern that he hoped that the Taoist person would not face excessive mistreatment in the world of sins. Grabbing the cloud forms, Su happily stuffed them into Zhang Ya's mouth. She explained that this was the last medicine for cultivating his body, unclaimed qi and blood. Zhang Ya asked why he was consuming unclaimed qi and blood, even though she promised to collect medicine for him. Su insisted that the corpse's qi was the optimal medicine, indicating that now that he had successfully refined his body, it was time to face adversity. Pointing to the sky, Su directed Zhang Ya's attention to the impending thunder and lightning, leaving him flinching. Looking up at the sky with the girl who saved him, Zhang Ya exclaimed in trepidation as the trouble seemed overwhelming and threatening. The girl who saved Zhang Ya wondered why this test was significantly different from her own body cultivation experience. She remembered how at this time she was protected by magical formations, potions, and weapons. Asking about the abnormal intensity of grief, the girl asked Su if such an intense experience was normal. Zhang Ya, still fixated on the sky, noticed that it surpassed the ascension trials mentioned in the book. Su wondered if this was truly a test to improve her body, since her own experience was different. She vividly described how she was lying on a metal surface when she was struck by lightning. Jiang Ya and the rescued girl were shocked to see the description of her misfortune. Internally questioning the deviation from her previous experience, Su wondered if such intensity was normal. Jiang Ya and the rescued girl were clearly stunned. Suddenly, lightning struck the center where Jiang Ya and the girl were standing, causing them to separate. Su, holding the girl's hand, explained that they could not be present when the grief began, as this would increase its intensity. Su and the girl jumped to a remote place to escape the troubles, leaving Jiang Ya to watch. He wondered where the magical formations, potions, and weapons he planned to use were located. Before Jiang Ya could react, lightning struck him, and he screamed, trembling. Worried, the girl who saved Jiang Ya asked Su if he was okay. Unperturbed, Su folded her hands and slowly stood up. Despite the continuous lightning strikes, Jiang Ya endured the misfortune without voicing the pain. Instead, he maintained a calm demeanor. Suddenly, he sucked something into his mouth. Pure ki. It turned out that during the lightning strikes, pure ki was extracted from him. Jiang Ya looked at himself, touched his body, and then exclaimed that he was fine, even after being struck by lightning. Su contacted him telepathically, informing him that as ruler of the world of sin, he had inherited the blessings of his ancestors and would be surrounded by the care and blessings of heaven. Su thought that no one in the Jiang family had faced adversity for a very long time, accumulating a significant amount of good fortune. She encouraged him to achieve whatever he wanted, as every lightning bolt would only make him stronger. Jiang Ya exclaimed joyfully that the joy of challenging the heavens was boundless as he raised his hands and shouted. At this moment, the people affected by the corpse's ki woke up one by one and witnessed this scene. One of them noticed that it was noisy and asked why there was thunder. Another person lying on the ground complained of a headache. As all the men stood up, one of them pointed at Jiang Ya, accusing him of being hit for his misdeeds. Another man wondered what sin he had committed to be struck by so many lightning bolts. However, upon closer inspection, it seemed that he was holding something in his hand, a metal sword. Jiang Ya raised the metal sword when he was struck by lightning. Jiang Ya joyfully stated that the weapon absorbed the thunder of sorrow, exclaiming that his first significant piece of equipment was finally born. Holding the weapon happily, he seemed oblivious to the fact that two demonic chi appeared and came out of the weapon. The two demonic chi that came out of the weapon turned out to be two women, one with blonde hair and the other with white hair. The one with gray hair called the blonde sister and told her that it was time for them to leave their legacy in the human world. When the two sisters went outside, they looked around. The white-haired woman told the blonde-haired woman that the human world was more prosperous than they had been told, and the blonde-haired woman asked why they were being looked at so strangely, as if their clothes looked strange. On the other side of the street, people were discussing the two ladies, claiming that they were cosplaying. The white-haired woman called the fair-haired sister Jin Jiao and told her that people were still looking at them strangely. She wondered if they should hide their horns. The blonde woman named Sister Jin Zhou replied that if they did that, people would know that they had magic. They both turned around and came to the conclusion that they couldn't use their magic. If the Jiang family knew about this, they would be sent back to the world of sins. However, they encountered another problem. If they didn't use magic, they wouldn't be able to buy what they wanted, especially the milk tea they were staring at and drooling over. At this point, the salesman told them to leave if they weren't going to order, so that others in the back could buy what they wanted. They looked around and saw many people rushing towards the milk tea shop. The man rushed towards them and told the seller that he would pay for them. He ordered 2 milk teas and served them both. When they left the store, the man introduced himself as the owner of the establishment. He said his name was Wu Chushen, emphasizing that they seemed to be broke. He told them that if they wanted to make some money, they should come to his store and do some work to earn some extra money. Wu Chushen gave them his business card. Jinju read out the name of the store, Forgetful Bar. He informed them that they needed 2 publicists and dancers. Jinzhao told Ginzhou that it could be a liquor store or a banquet hall, while Ginzhou suggested that it could be the type of dancer that elegant people like. They both told Wu Kusen that since he had helped them, they would reciprocate and asked him to escort them to the place. Wu Chusen replied in the affirmative. After the tribulations, the sun rose, and Jiang Ya shook his head, trying to breathe in some fresh air. He grinned and remarked that it was good. Then he suddenly looked up at the sky and exclaimed joyfully, shouting that he had never felt so relaxed before. Su told him that he had already overcome his bodily adversities, so it would be easy for him. The girl who saved him told him that because he had survived such a great ordeal, his future was limitless. Then suddenly, at a considerable distance from them, something shone brightly. They all turned their gaze in that direction, seeming to understand what this phenomenon could be. Jiang Ya emphasized that the demon existed, and Su informed him that this would mark his first battle after his physique improved from the trials. Outside the oblivious bar, several men begged for mercy from an imposing figure, none other than Jin Jiao. She beat the men viciously and mercilessly, wondering why they treated them so lightly. Jinju informed them that while wearing revealing clothing was acceptable, physical contact took things to another level. Jin Jiao expressed disappointment, noting that she thought the place was posh, but they were ordered to associate with men. Wu Chusen questioned their selectivity, reminding them that if they wanted to make money, they should not provoke any of his guests, as offending the customers would result in them not being able to leave his establishment. He hurried into the room with his men, warning them that if they did not behave well, there would be consequences, possibly death at his hands. The two girls stuck together, preparing to face any approaching threat. Jin Jiao examined the weapon and noticed that she had a hunch that it was very dangerous and required the use of their magical powers. Jin Jiao shouted out fervently, declaring that she had her father's magnificent purple-red gourd and an intricate golden rope. At the same time, Ginju spoke with a voice, confirming that she was in possession of an exquisite jade vase and an ornate fan that belonged to her father. The men, thinking the women were joking, burst into mocking laughter, questioning the use of what they considered ostentatious special effects. Wu Chusen pointed the gun at them with unshakable determination. He declared his intention to kill Jin Jiao first, maintaining an ominous laugh as he deftly pulled the trigger, sending the bullet flying towards her. Jin Jiao, with a seriousness befitting a dangerous situation, quickly activated her supernatural abilities to intercept the incoming bullet. In the midst of this, she urgently ordered Ginju to disarm the gang and take charge of the situation. Answering in the affirmative, Ginju used her exceptional abilities to pull out and confiscate all the weapons the gang members owned. A bright light emanated from them, obscuring their vision. The men, disoriented and confused, scanned their surroundings, puzzled by the sudden disappearance of their weapons. They expressed their confusion and panic, wondering who would be able to stop the formidable duo of Ginju and Jin Jiao. Wu Chusen, feeling a surge of fear, tried to dissuade any harm that befell him by emphasizing his father's enormous influence. However, his request was suddenly interrupted. Jin Jiao shouted his name, catching his attention for a moment before, with the next breath, he found himself being inexorably pulled into her father's purple-red gourd. The other men stood open-mouthed, shocked witnesses to his sudden disappearance in the mystical container. Holding a purple-red gourd in her hand, Jin Jiao argued that they should take responsibility for the consequences of their actions, emphasizing that the events unfolding were a direct result of their own misdeeds. The men, overcome with terror and apprehension, desperately took off running from the bar, their panicked voices repeating phrases such as "ghost" as they begged everyone within earshot to come to their aid. Jin Jiao looked thoughtfully at the rapidly moving figures and wondered if visiting the human world was a wise decision. Jinju assured her that it was indeed helpful, emphasizing that the malevolent forces were only a small minority. With a serious expression on her face, Gingzhou turned her gaze to Jin Jiao and proposed a radical idea to destroy the evil antagonist's depraved lair. A joyful smile graced Jin Jiao's face as she expressed her belief that their imaginary human world should not harbor such malice. She insisted that this place was in danger of destruction. Watching the frantic activity, Ginju extended her right hand and summoned a bottle of jade fat. Subsequently, a stream of water gushed out of it. The meager flow from the jade bottle quickly turned into a flood, drowning the scrambling people trying to dodge it. Jin Jiao, with a serious expression on her face, urged Ging Zhou to use her abilities to destroy everything. Suddenly, a golden portal materialized, drawing in and dispersing water. Startled, both men doubted the unexpected occurrence in their minds, but an unknown voice informed them that their insolence was unjustified. Surprised, they turned to identify the speaker, and Zhang Ya walked out of the portal, calling them villains and demanding to reveal their identity. Concerned, they resisted revealing any information, advising him not to apply pressure. Ginju prompted Jin Jiao to take action, and turning her purple-red gourd towards Zhang Ya, she said his name. Zhang Ya, confused, remembered an image he had seen before, a sculpture of a man holding a pumpkin and looking in a certain direction. Subconsciously, Zhang Ya pointed at them, asking if they were the daughters of King Golden Horn and King Silver Horn. Horrified, Jin Jiao and Ginjo asked how he knew their identities. Ginju thought that perhaps it would not be a loss if he became the ruler of the world. Recognizing Zhang Ya's insight, they decided to join forces in a concerted effort to confront him, recognizing his potential superiority. Having combined their forces, they launched a joint attack. Zhang Ya, unperturbed, created a barrier of air awaiting their attack. As Zhang Ya's attack approached, he smirked, easily blocking and deflecting it with minimal effort. Using a new skill acquired after the disaster, Thunderstrike, Zhang Ya redirected the attack towards the two women, electrocuting them. After pushing them into the Sin World portal, Zhang Ya ordered them to serve their punishment. Despite their protests, they were pulled into the portal. Zhang Ya, who was initially elated, was stunned to see the two women emerge from the portal again. Confusion filled the two ladies as they wondered why they had returned. They assumed that having been banished to the world of sins, escape would be impossible. Puzzled, Zhang Ya wondered why the world of sins did not accept them as he pondered this unforeseen turn of events. The two sisters who were sent back again were delighted. Jin Jiao noted that it seemed like the Jiang family would no longer be able to control them. Zhang Ya, still confused, examined the symbol in his hand and wondered if the world of sins had been destroyed, or if there were any glitches in the system of the world of sins. At this point, Su laughed at them and reproached them for their ignorance, revealing the reason for their return from the world of sins. The two ladies were delighted to learn from Su that the reason was their innocence. Su informed Zhang Ya that other than him, innocent practitioners, whether demons or humans, could not enter the world of sins. Su revealed that the King of the Golden Horn and the King of the Silver Horn, after marrying their wives and having children in the world of sin, were locked away due to the lack of a steward in the world of sin. Therefore, they did not have to serve any sentence in this place. Su revealed that the world of sin had declared them innocent, forcing them to follow the rules since heaven had declared them innocent. Both Jin Jiao and Jin Zhou were overjoyed when Su learned that they had been recognized by the heavens. Jin Jiao enthusiastically stated that they could become accomplished practitioners. Su smiled and questioned their happiness, warning them that once they left the world of sin, they would not be able to return, which would mean the end of the house's existence. Jin Jiao and Ginzhou exchanged shocked glances. Jin Jiao remembered her father's words before they left. Both remembered their father's advice before leaving. Jin Jiao's father urged her to leave the world of sins so as not to suffer with him, while Jin Zhou's father advised her to keep a low profile and run away when meeting the monkey monster. Both left happy. Both fathers, watching their daughters pass away, maintained that as long as their children prospered in the future, they would be able to fulfill their desires. The girls became despondent, hugged each other, feigned tears, and expressed a desire to return to their parents. Zhang Ya was thinking how pathetic they were when suddenly the two rushed towards him, each holding his hand, telling him that he could do whatever he wanted with them as long as they could see their parents. Jin Jiao gave her purple-red gourd and golden rope, and Ging Zhou offered her the treasures, handing them over to Jiang Ya, asking him to facilitate their return. Ginzhou informed him that they no longer wished to practice, they just wanted to be reunited with their parents. In Jiang Ya's opinion, he was hesitant. He had originally intended to create conditions to help them, but now they were offering more than he had imagined. Before Zhang Ya could speak, Su suddenly joined the conversation, informing them that returning was not possible. She continued, suggesting that they become Zhang Ya's secretaries and use their jobs to commute their parents' sentences, allowing them to be released earlier. After thinking about it, Zhang Ya thought it was reasonable to let the two of them bring people to his store to generate income. Alternatively, he could allow them to broadcast live, which would bring him closer to becoming a first-line host, anticipating the live demonstration of Ginzhou. He then thought that perhaps extracting surplus value from demons was not the business of a big capitalist, imagining the singing Jinzhao in his mind. Zhang Ya quickly agreed. Su then said that everything was decided that way. She mentioned that there were a lot of people there, so they had to go back. Su activated her power and teleported them to Zhang Ya's house. Su helped them change clothes and covered their demonic aura. The two girls looked at the house in front of them and wondered if they would live there from then on. This way no one will know that they are monsters. She dressed Jin Zhao in an office worker's uniform and Ging Zhou in a high school student's uniform. Zhang Ya blushed as blood flowed from his nose. He told Su to change her clothes. Su asked him if this is what all the men on the internet like to see. Su changed into a maid's outfit while Zhang Ya mentally complained. Zhang Ya blushed and was shy. He thought that what they both wore was too much. On the plane flying over Zhang Ya's house, a woman sitting in the passenger seat with a glass of wine in her hands felt something and looked out. It was the aura of two pure blood demons. She looked out the window, licking her lips, declaring that she could hunt for demon pills again. It seemed that this was not her first hunt for the so-called demonic pill. In Zhang Ya's room, he stood in front of the mirror with the Gingzhou jade vase and cast several magic spells to activate the vase. Zhang Ya looked at the jade vase expectantly as it activated, but was disappointed when only a small sip of water came out. As the scene unfolded in the cozy living room, Zhang Ya turned his attention away from the TV show that Jinzhou, Jin, and Su were binge-watching together. A feeling of frustration and disappointment flared up within him as he frankly informed Ginzhou that the supposed magical weapons at his disposal were in fact completely useless. Seeking clarity, Zhang Ya approached the trio and asked why Ginzhou could successfully wield a magic weapon when he was unable to do so. Skepticism persisted as he questioned the item's authenticity, wondering if it was a fake as its powers seemed elusive to him. Meanwhile, Jinzhou, Jin, and Su remained engrossed in the ongoing narration on TV, seemingly disconnected from Zhang Ya's growing fears. Su, not turning away from the exciting TV show, casually raised 2 fingers, activating the jade vase. A sudden stream of water gushed out from the vase, catching Zhang Ya by surprise and splashing playfully on his face. After recovering from the unexpected dousing, Zhang Ya quickly regained his composure. Trying to redirect their attention, he positioned himself so as to block their view and gave a firm message. They must pass on the necessary knowledge of magical weapons unless he changed his mind about his willingness to help them. Responding to Zhang Ya's request for guidance, Gingzhou threw a book in his direction. Zhang Ya, with deft reflexes, caught the book and began flipping through its pages. Su took on the role of instructor, explaining that to master a magic weapon, one must refine it to one's own natal magic weapon, or refine a demonic pill similar to the demon clan's practitioners, ultimately relying on the resonance between the two. Each page turned revealed more information, and Zhang Ya absorbed Su's instructions with growing interest. Su delved into the complex process, emphasizing that perfecting natal magical weapons depends on receiving blessings from runes and magical formations. She explained that the fundamental step was to carefully seal the title block. Contemplating the inscriptions in front of him, Zhang Ya admitted his current inability to complete such a task. In response to this confession, Su advised him to find Yu Fei in the city, revealing that Yu Fei was waiting for the Tianxin sect disciples to quietly deal with the consequences of their efforts. On the outskirts of the city, a lifeless corpse lay on the ground, an eerie sight that sent a shiver down the spine. The empty eye sockets and wide-open mouth painted a grim picture, reminiscent of an elderly figure whose vitality had inexplicably depleted. Watching the disturbing scene, the woman stood not far from the corpse, and the man, apparently conducting the investigation, stated that there were traces of a demonic aura on the corpse. Despite the demonic essence, the body retained the appearance of an ordinary person. A woman standing on the opposite side expressed her curiosity about the mysterious events taking place in the city. Interestingly, the woman standing near the corpse was none other than the mysterious figure who was on board the plane flying over Jiang Ya's residence. In an ominous tone, she thought that even in a dried state, the residual demon qi inside the corpse had the potential to rejuvenate them, and a worried smile played on her lips. As they continued to discuss the strange situation, the surrounding sounds were interrupted by the distant rumble of a motorcycle engine. Their attention focused on the source. The young man was driving slowly and was immersed in contemplation. Something about him piqued their interest, prompting them to focus on the unfolding scenario. Ignoring the secret glance, Jiang Ya continued his journey into the city on his motorcycle, mentally repeating the items needed to complete the task at hand. The red-haired woman stared at Jiang Ya with an expression of delight and shared the revelation with her companion. She confidently stated that the demonic qi they sensed in the corpse undoubtedly came from none other than Jiang Ya himself, adding to the mystery surrounding him. Jiang Ya was pondering which technique to choose, immersed in a critical decision, when suddenly an ominous feeling came over him. Reacting quickly, he jumped off the motorcycle, narrowly avoiding the invisible threat. His deft evasion was successful. A huge stone fell down, crushing his motorcycle. Unharmed, Jiang Ya found himself in a nearby clearing, the wreckage of his bicycle indicating the danger he had narrowly escaped. The red-haired woman and the bald man walked over and stood in front of Jiang Ya. The bald man acknowledged Jiang's vigilance while the red-haired woman taunted him, telling him to summon another monster and meet a painless death. While pondering the mention of another demon, Jiang Ya wondered if it could be Jin Zhao hiding her aura despite her suppression. Rising from his landing spot, Jiang Ya lamented that Su had deceived him again. The bald man demanded information, hinting at a way to get the truth out of him. Before he could make any progress, the red-haired lady intervened, declaring her intention to take charge by provocatively manipulating the buttons on her chest. Approaching Jiang, she provocatively undid the buttons, exposing her bra. She hinted that Jiang Ya's agreement would lead to a painless death, confident in the charm of her charm. Closing his eyes, Jiang Ya motioned for her not to continue, resisting the seductive tactics. Looking through the gap in his fingers, Jiang Ya noticed a purple ball hanging on the red-haired woman's chest. She in turn reveled in her supposed irresistibility. In a space filled with enchantment, Jiang Ya stood resolutely as the red-haired woman emphasized the importance of his demon pill for their strength. To Jiang Ya's surprise, the red-haired lady showed off illusory tails, 6 in total, reveling in the success of her seductive trap. The red-haired lady wore a triumphant smile, an image of a fox appearing on her forehead as she rhetorically wondered who could resist the temptation of the demon fox pill. With glee, she expressed her desire to witness the attractiveness of Jiang Ya's demon pill by playfully extending her foxtails towards him. Unperturbed, Jiang Ya, now with clear and focused eyes, watched intently as the fox's tails closed around him. To the red-haired woman's shock, she did not find any demon pill in Jiang Ya's body. Having accused him of deception, she realized that he did not have such a pill. Still recovering from the revelation, she clutched her now empty hand that once held the demon fox pill. Jiang Ya quickly approached, grabbed the pill, and retreated, leaving the red-haired woman stunned by the consequences of the unexpected turn of events. Mockingly holding the demonic fox pill in his hands, Jiang Ya claimed that he had never lied. She was trapped in her own illusions. Jiang Ya mockingly remarked that women can influence the speed at which he plays games, but real men are immune to such temptations. The red-haired woman's face darkened as she realized Jiang Ya's immunity to her trap. Seeing the pill in Jiang Ya's hand, the red-haired woman asked how he could take possession of the demonic monster pill, deeming it impossible. Jiang Ya corrected her, saying that there was no trace of sin in the energy extracted from the pill. He accused her of using dark magic to siphon power from innocent demons for the sake of power, calling her actions madness. Faced with the loss of her demon pill, Jiang Ya doubted whether she would persist in her malicious actions. However, she jumped away, pulling away and declaring that all demons were monsters meant to support development, devoid of any intrinsic goodness. With a mocking laugh, she unwrapped a variety of demonic pills asking Zhang Ya if he had ever seen such a vast collection of these sinister artifacts. Confidently declaring that victory was within their grasp, she mocked the inevitable defeat that awaited him. Undaunted by the ineffectiveness of the fox demon pill, she quickly moved on to another, extracting the rabbit demon pill and assimilating its essence into herself. Having announced with her comrade a pact to join forces in the upcoming battle, she received an affirmative answer. Jiang Ya, in the face of this mutated duo resembling the famous turtle and rabbit, expressed his disdain, finding the scenario boring as he rushed towards the formidable opponents. Taking a powerful leap, he struck the turtle man with his weapon, but the steadfast opponent pushed him away with force. Stunned by the unexpected failure of his attack, Jiang Ya stood in disbelief, wondering why his weapon was ineffective against the turtle man's defense. Before he could formulate a response to the oncoming threat, a sudden kick from the red-haired woman sent him staggering, followed by her emphatic statement urging him to descend into hell. Falling backwards, opponent Jiang Ya reveled in her apparent advantage, urging her comrade to seize the moment and secure victory. However, their delight was suddenly interrupted by an unexpected shock. A powerful force struck the bald turtle man, causing him to cry out in pain. Although the scales in his hand cushioned some of the blow, he survived the blow without serious injury. A revelation unfolded when something materialized in Jiang Ya's hand. Proudly displaying a carving knife, he admitted that he had almost forgotten about this formidable weapon and stood up resolutely, examining it carefully. As he advanced towards his opponents, Jiang Ya accused them of using innocent demons as shields, claiming that they had already overcome the limitations of his initial attack. Faced with the need to perfect his tactics on the spot, he cast a spell, casting a magical spell and releasing a bewitching substance onto his carving knife. The numbers 856 lengthened as the narrative progressed, revealing a story in which the protagonist recalled secret knowledge from the book, emphasizing the importance of blood in the purification process for those who possess a completely purified body. This memory was etched in his memory. In a hurry, the main character decided to use a humble kitchen knife against formidable opponents. With determination, he pointed his blade at them and introduced himself as Jiang Ya, a simple man with newfound aspirations. A sense of accomplishment filled Jiang Ya as he looked at his opponents. Using a kitchen knife as an unlikely symbol, he proudly proclaimed his status as a master swordsman, confidently pointing the blade in their direction. The turtle man, nursing his injured arm, and the red-haired woman, both amazed, voiced their realization in unison. Jiang Ya was holding a magic weapon. The kitchen knife, now soaked in his purified blood, became a powerful tool. The red-haired woman, still struggling with disbelief, pondered the impossibility of Jiang Ya's rapid cultivation. As the tension grew, she clenched her fist in frustration as Jiang Ya prepared for the upcoming confrontation. Jiang Ya wasted no time and quickly moved towards his opponents. Recognizing the general principles of swordsmanship, he chose a skill he knew well and struck at the turtle man's vulnerable neck. The force of Jiang Ya's attack caused the opponents to cover their faces. The bald turtle man, unable to withstand the pressure, fell uncontrollably, causing his demon pill to fly out. As Jiang Ya approached the fallen demon pill, he thought about their plight. Despite the pang of pity, he decided not to show mercy, knowing that they were exploiting others for their own gain. The red-haired lady, unafraid, approached the fallen bald man. While offering him the pill, she spoke of the urgent need to win the upcoming battle, revealing the purpose of the pills and advising him to use the appropriate trick. Following her instructions, the bald man swallowed the demonic pills, absorbing their power into his body in preparation for the escalating conflict. In a distant small town located far away, the purple-headed girl, the valiant savior of Jiang Ya, found herself among the gathering of elders. These venerable figures, who participated in the ritual circulation of mystical powers, earned the purple-headed girl's praise. The elders, however, were stunned, their amazement palpable as they questioned the purple-headed girl about the mysterious corpse key she had previously mentioned. Startled, the purple-headed girl looked up into the sky, where a shining and ominous purple death key rose up, casting an eerie glow across the heavens. Showing pride, the red-haired woman informed Zhang Ya that their desire for knowledge had led them to spend their entire lives mastering the complex melting sorcery spell. The bald man, reflecting a sense of honor and determination, shouted to Zhang Ya. He declared his willingness to accept death under the influence of a trick that they had diligently studied for a long period, extending his hands in a welcoming gesture. Unperturbed, Zhang Ya, with a blank expression on his face, casually identified this version of the Shanzai corpse road. While he lamented the predictability of villains' thoughts, he recognized the striking similarity of their intentions. As the bald man began to attack, Zhang Ya, maintaining his composure, reminded him that he should not blame himself for using this technique. The symbol in Zhang Ya's hand glowed as he told the bald man to go to the world of sins. With a deft move, Zhang Ya opened a portal to the world of sins, quickly trapping the bald man without giving him a chance to resist. With a mocking smile, Zhang Ya turned his attention to the red-haired woman who, realizing her vulnerability, tried to escape. Aware of her predicament, she knew that she would not be able to confront him head-on. Chasing her without hesitation, Zhang Ya grabbed her rabbit ear, questioning her futile attempt to escape and whether she believed that she could evade him. At this very moment, 3 people landed behind Zhang Ya, prompting him to look back in silent question. They were 3 elders who were in the company of a purple-headed girl. Their hasty arrival witnessed the ominous purple death key, and they expressed respectful greetings, calling Zhang Ya an expert. Recognizing his formidable presence, the elders expressed their gratitude for his intervention, describing him as a great man who dispelled evil forces without much effort. The elders assured Zhang Ya that the red-haired woman would no longer pose a threat, as they were sent by the heart of heaven to seal her away. When the purple-headed girl descended from the sky, wanting to share her insights, the elder intervened, pressing her head down. They ordered her to show respect to Zhang Ya by addressing him not as an expert, but as an elder. While attempting to impart her knowledge, the purple-headed girl was interrupted when the elder one bowed to where Zhang Ya stood, emphasizing the need for respect. The elders bowed in unison to Zhang Ya, expressing their gratitude as benefactors and expressing hope for his guidance. Zhang Ya, trying to clear up the misunderstanding, was drowned out by their insistence that he was their elder. Frustrated, Zhang Ya tried to explain away this misconception, but the disgruntled elders concluded that their sect had given up and took the blame for their perceived incompetence. Seeing the gloomy state of the elders, Jiang felt moved to compassion and assured them that he could offer valuable advice. The purple-headed girl, finding the situation funny, held her uncle's robe and laughed playfully. Internally lamenting the need to continue to act like an elder, Jiang admitted that since Yu Fei knew about his true identity, maintaining this charade would not pose a problem. Upon reaching the sect, Jiang casually remarked on Elder Chen's well-being within the sect, while engaging in polite small talk. Sensing the right time, Jiang mentioned that it was late and he needed to go home. In response, Elder Chen kindly offered his assistance, expressing his willingness to help whenever Jiang needed help. Initially hesitant to accept the offer, Jiang changed his mind, realizing that he really needed help acquiring specific items. Knowing his financial difficulties, Jiang sought to use the sect's resources to purchase materials, hoping that they would provide the necessary materials. After presenting the compiled list of purification materials to Elder Chen, Jiang broached the topic. However, the elder's laughter echoed through the air as he looked through the extensive list, finding it overly demanding. Elder Chen, after carefully studying the materials, recognized the sect's ability to provide most of the basic necessities. However, he acknowledged that some materials are exceptionally rare and difficult to obtain. Offering further information, Elder Chen explained that while the sect may have obtained some materials, others, although not necessarily precious, were so rare that their presence in the Xijing antique market remained uncertain. Jiang, considering his options, put his hand in his pocket, realizing that this might be the right time to visit Xijing again. In response, Elder Chen, in an attempt to meet expectations, stated the financial limitations of the sect. Suddenly remembering Yufei's connection to Xijing University, Elder Chen suggested that she could guide Jiang upon his return to Xijing, especially since the academic semester was about to start soon. Worried about offending Zhang Ya, Elder Chen was pleasantly surprised when Zhang, after diffusing the tension, enthusiastically announced his decision to return to Xijing. Taking advantage of the moment, Jiang announced his intention to investigate the circumstances that led to his suspension from Xijing University, which became a turning point in his journey. Zhang Ya thought that if he strived to advance in cultivation and achieve greater power, he would no longer be able to limit himself to the confines of a small town. In the wider regions, the attraction of vast resources awaited him, and he considered ordinary conspiracies unimportant on his path to cultivation. Expressing his decision to Elder Chen, Zhang Ya urged him to quickly prepare the necessary materials, signaling his imminent departure to Xijing country. With a casual wave of his hand, he walked away, leaving the journey ahead to unfold before him. A week later, Zhang Ya arrived in Xijing, his thoughts lingering as he approached Xijing University. Although the prospect of returning to university did not frighten him, the prospect of dealing with some annoying people dampened his enthusiasm. While passing by fellow students on his way to the university, Zhang Ya caught the attention of one who was exercising. Suspicion flashed across the observer's face, causing him to recognize Zhang Ya. A sudden realization dawned on the viewer, leading to an exclamation that Zhang Ya had indeed returned. Rushing forward, the observer pointed at Zhang Ya with mockingly exaggerated surprise, loudly announcing his presence in the school. This revelation sparked rumors among other university students, with one of them claiming that Zhang Ya had cheated in an esports game, claiming that someone guilty of such actions was not eligible to return to school. The boy who had loudly announced Zhang Ya's presence walked up to him, pointed an accusing finger, and asked why he had returned, calling him a disgrace to the university. An unperturbed Zhang Ya retorted, arguing that the boy could have entered into the conversation if it had been his turn to speak. Ignoring Zhang Ya's words, the boy knocked off his cap, declaring that Zhang Ya was no longer a student but a wandering outsider, urging him to leave or face interference from the guards. Noticing the boy's courage, Zhang Ya responded with a meaningful look, silently asking if he was trying to give impromptu training on how to properly deal with such situations. The tension in the air grew as both Zhang Ya and the boy remained steadfast, unwilling to give up or retreat from their positions. In the midst of this confrontation, 3 guards quickly approached the scene, a mixture of concern and determination on their faces. In an effort to diffuse the escalation of the conflict, they sought explanations and clarification of the situation, ready to intervene if necessary. The presence of guards adds authority to the scene, potentially facilitating conflict resolution. Taking this opportunity, the boy accused Zhang Ya of trespassing and posing as a student. He called on the guards to immediately detain Zhang Ya. Ignoring the excitement, Zhang Ya looked away, expressing disinterest in solving the boy's petty problems. Zhang Ya, carefully holding the talisman behind his back, disdainfully informed the boy that if he wanted confrontation, he should initiate it himself. The calm, determined boy fervently begged the guards to strengthen the security of the university and drive Zhang Ya out. The guards resolutely moved toward Zhang Ya, ready to take action. With a smug expression on his face, Zhang Ya casually tossed the talisman over his shoulder, a sly gesture aimed at the unsuspecting boy. Much to his amazement, Zhang Ya found himself trapped by the vigilant guards, his confused gaze fixed on them. The unexpected turn of events increased the tension of the developing situation. The boy pointed at Zhang Ya, arguing that someone who got into the university solely through games had no place within its walls. Unexpectedly, he responded with a loud slap to Zhang Ya's face, determined to prevent him from gaining access. The sudden act of defiance added a dramatic twist to the unfolding confrontation, increasing tensions between the two. Unfazed by the boy's heated protests, Zhang Ya sank his teeth defiantly into his arm, a shocking act that left him confused and dazed. The unexpected bite created an atmosphere of surprise and confusion, clouding the meeting. The enraged boy responded by biting Zhang Ya back, and a strange struggle ensued with both seemingly succumbing to the mad dog's antics. They both fought each other, biting each other angrily like a rabid dog. The student, puzzled by the spectacle, asked why Minister Liu of the Student Association was involved in a fight with a dog. A classmate enlightened her, saying that it was not just a fight, but an ongoing quarrel with a dog. As the commotion unfolded in the courtyard, the students present could not resist the temptation to film the strange spectacle on their mobile phones. Minister Liu, who unexpectedly got into a fight with a dog, unwittingly became the center of attention. Little did he know that Zhang Ya had cleverly manipulated his perception, convincing him that the canine opponent was actually his reflection throughout the entire ordeal. Laughter echoed through the crowd as Minister Liu continued his useless fight with the dog. Amid the fun, Zhang Ya was amused by Liu's predicament and thought about how he had no authority to decide whether Liu should enter the school premises or not. It was a moment of both entertainment and reflection on the power dynamics at play. A sudden change in atmosphere washed over Minister Liu and the guards as realization washed over them. The once oblivious expression turned into one of questions and confusion. Meanwhile, the persistent dog continued to hold Liu's leg, creating a surreal and tense scene. Mutual bewilderment filled the air as Liu and the guards exchanged glances. The situation took an unexpected turn, and their gazes met with a shared feeling of confusion. The dog's continued aggression added an element of urgency to the unfolding drama. Trying to make sense of the chaos, Liu pointed at the dog, demanding answers from the puzzled guards. He was looking for information about Zhang Ya's whereabouts and questioned the logic of detaining a seemingly ordinary dog. The guards, taken by surprise, struggled to give a clear explanation. Liu's gaze slid towards a nearby alley, revealing a startling discovery. This wasn't just a lonely dog. Instead, a menacing pack of dogs with crimson eyes reflecting malice was quickly approaching them. The situation became tense, and fear gripped the hearts of Liu and the guards. Panic set in as Liu and the guards, realizing the imminent threat, fled from the advancing pack of angry dogs. The courtyard, once filled with the sounds of laughter, now echoed with the hurried footsteps of those fleeing the wrath of the canine attack. Meanwhile, as Zhang Ya tried to leave unnoticed, a mysterious figure intervened, placing a hand on his shoulder. Turning around, Zhang Ya met Yu Fei, who asked if he was looking for someone. The unexpected meeting added intrigue to the unfolding events. Zhang Ya, surprised by Yu Fei's intervention, revealed his connection to the university. Yu Fei, connecting all the dots, suggested that Zhang Ya could be the person who was being gossiped about. Their interactions hinted at a deeper narrative, one shrouded in mystery and potential intrigue. Urgency and secrecy intertwined as Zhang Ya covered her mouth with his hand and urged Yu Fei to lower her voice. He vehemently protested his innocence, insisting that they move to a more private setting to discuss matters further. Their departure raised eyebrows, fueling speculation among intrigued students. After leaving the crowd, Zhang Ya and Yu Fei headed towards the university, leaving a trail of speculation and gossip behind them. Students, captivated by the unfolding drama, could not help but discuss the mysterious connection between the two figures and the events that took place in the courtyard. Liu's gaze pierced the space where Yu Fei and Zhang Ya had gone, his frustration simmering beneath the surface. His face showed determination as he silently vowed to expel Zhang Ya from campus, the intensity of his emotions reflecting the brewing conflict. In Zhang Ya's class, I sat at the table, absorbed in the pages of my textbook. Meanwhile, rumors circulated among his peers about his long absence and sudden return, while he managed to avoid repeating the assessment. A sudden exclamation from a fellow student broke the subdued atmosphere. The announcement of Teacher Li's presence brought instant silence in the room as the students, acutely aware of the potential consequences, ceased their discussions. Zhang, noticing the palpable uneasiness, looked up and noticed the discomfort of being surrounded by classmates who seemed to harbor a clear fear of Teacher Li. Teacher Li's appearance officially ended the anticipatory silence. She informed the class that she would resume her role as instructor next year without delay. Fixing her gaze on Zhang Ya, Teacher Li expressed surprise that she had not seen him since last year, questioning his enrollment in this specialty. Jiang Ya talked about his suspension last year and his recent return to school. He explained that he studied the previous year's coursework on his own and took the visa exam mid-semester. Teacher Lee approached him and asked if his absence meant she was ineffective as an educator, given that he chose to study on his own at home rather than attend classes. Leaning over, she placed her hands on Jiang Ya's desk, prompting him to gently reaffirm the importance of teachers in the learning process. Teacher Lee then placed the exam paper on Jiang Ya's desk, asking him to formulate answers to the 5 main multiple-choice questions from last year's exam. The ultimatum hung in the air, emphasizing that his right to participate in the class was at stake. Studying the paper in front of him, Jiang Ya picked it up with a mixture of disappointment and resignation. Deep down, he regretted the lack of deception in the world of mathematics, and this feeling was reflected in his thoughts, emphasizing the challenges ahead. Answering the challenge, Teacher Lee handed Jiang Ya a textbook, emphasizing that it contained the original questions from last year. At the same time, she asked if he had taken the time to look through its contents. Accepting the textbook, Jiang Ya mentally expressed his gratitude for his good timing. Now that the textbook was in his hands, he immediately delved into its pages, ready to confront the intellectual demands it contained. Returning the book to Teacher Lee after his brief study, Jiang Ya confidently stated that he not only read it, but also memorized its contents. In response, Teacher Lee warned him against treating mathematics as linguistics, emphasizing that rote memorization was not necessary. Ignoring her advice, Jiang Ya continued to ignore her advice, starting to read out the answers to the questions with unshakable confidence. The class, previously immersed in a subdued atmosphere, suddenly fell into a collective state of amazement. Each student's face showed disbelief, and Jiang Ya, undeterred, continued to recite the answers. Even Master Lee, the usually reserved one, found himself gaping in complete surprise at the unexpected display of skill. The students in the class, stunned by Jiang Ya's sudden recitation, hurriedly looked through their textbooks, trying to check the accuracy of the information he shared. The air in the classroom was filled with a sense of curiosity and mistrust. After completing the recitation, Jiang Ya, undeterred, asked Teacher Lee a pointed question, questioning her right to teach the class. The question hung in the air, awaiting the teacher's answer. Teacher Lee, maintaining a calm demeanor, feigned nonchalance in the face of Jiang Ya's challenge. Closing the textbook, she casually noted that what he had read had only scratched the surface of the topic. While allowing him to continue attending classes, she issued a stern warning to follow the rules, emphasizing strict consequences for any violations. With a thoughtful expression on his face, Teacher Lee turned away and walked towards the chalkboard, pondering the intricacies of the mind-body connection. She recognized the benefits of cultivating the body, realizing that Lao Su Cheng's teachings had value beyond what she originally perceived. Outside the classroom, Minister Lu, watching this scene with growing anger, cast a disdainful glance at Jiang Ya. Silently cursing him in his mind, the minister's displeasure hinted at a deeper conflict simmering beneath the surface. A sudden break broke Minister Lu's silent seething as someone put a hand on his shoulder, asking for directions to the Zijing food street. Annoyed at first, he turned back and found a beautiful university freshman in front of him, looking for help in navigating an unfamiliar environment. When the beauty introduced herself as Zhang Mei, a first-year university student, Minister Lu's irritation turned into fascination with her charm. In response to her request for directions, he kindly offered to take her to Zijing Food Street. Lu, now captivated by Jiang Mei's beauty, assured her that accompanying her would be no problem. They walked together, engaging in conversation as Lu asked her name and department. Turning to the girl, Lu walked next to Jiang Mei, starting a conversation to find out more about her. He asked her name and what department she belonged to, trying to make a friendly joke. Jiang Mei revealed that her name was Jiang Mei, prompting Minister Lu to playfully remark that people with the surname Jiang were generally good, accompanied by a hint of admiration. Smiling happily, Jiang Mei turned her attention to Jiang Ya's class, pondering something in her mind. Looking directly at Jiang Ya's location, she silently declared in her heart that she had found him, suggesting a potential connection or interest. Meanwhile, Zhang Ya, who had just left campus, expressed his complaints about persistent difficulties with mathematics despite the improvement in his mental abilities. Walking down the busy street, Zhang Ya pondered the best course of action, deciding to memorize more books first. Intending to eat first and then do serious business with Yu Fei, he navigated the lively atmosphere of the city. Walking down an alley, he heard a discussion among men, their conversation revolving around a schoolgirl. The tone and topic of their conversation piqued Zhang Ya's interest as he continued to walk through the streets. He soon encountered a disturbing scene as a group of gangs chased a student, urging her to join them with ominous cries for help. Unwilling to tolerate such a crime unfolding in front of him, Zhang Ya walked out into the alley and stood in front of the criminals. He sharply doubted the courage to commit such actions under his watchful eye. After witnessing Zhang Ya's intervention, the frightened girl managed to escape from the gang's grasp and rushed to him, seeking refuge. In a moment of despair, she hugged him tightly, asking for help and safety. Zhang Ya, stunned by the unexpected hug, looked down at the crying girl who was clinging to him. Her eyes were filled with fear as she begged for help, describing the gangs as incredibly scary. Still hugging him, she tearfully asked if he would help her, her eyes reflecting a mixture of vulnerability and hope. Zhang Ya, slightly excited by the sudden closeness, assured her that he would really help. He gently gestured towards the gangs, making it clear that he would return once he had dealt with them. The gangs stood in stunned silence as they watched Zhang Ya confidently approach them, ready to confront their threatening behavior. Zhang Ya quickly raised his hand, clenching his fist, aimed at the gang leader. However, before his fist could make contact, the gang leader suddenly flipped over, falling to the ground and loudly declaring that Zhang Ya had used excessive force. Stunned by the gang leader's theatrical reaction, Zhang Ya turned to him and declared that he had not even touched him with his fist. Meanwhile, Jiang Mei disapproved of the gang leader's antics. Undeterred, the gang leader stood up and praised Zhang Ya's leadership style, while one of his members suggested they leave the scene. Startled by the suggestion to escape, Zhang Ya quickly jumped over, blocking their path. However, he failed to foresee how the girl next to him managed to get closer after his jump. Zhang Ya deliberately kicked the ground with force, causing it to split into two pieces, adding an element of surprise and intimidation. The gang leader, now fearful, tried to maintain a facade of fearlessness. Admitting defeat, the gang leader begged Jiang Mei to let them pass, acknowledging the futility of their actions. Another gang member acknowledged the strength of Jiang Ya and Jiang Mei, advising them to refrain from further confrontation with such formidable opponents. Puzzled by the turn of events, Jiang Ya questioned Jiang Mei's intentions, prompting her to shrug and lament her poor acting skills. Jiang Ya's questioning was interrupted when Jiang Mei hugged him and affectionately called him Brother Jiang, bringing a family dynamic into their relationship. This unexpected twist adds a touch of humor and warmth to the scene. With a mischievous glint in her eyes, Jiang Mei praised Jiang Ya for his strength, playfully hinting at the typical hero-beauty dynamic in stories. However, Jiang Ya found that his attention was drawn to 3 dots on her chest, a detail that brought back familiar memories. The realization came to Jiang Ya when he remembered that the only person who had ever called him Brother Jiang was the little girl he played with as a child. An excited Jiang Ya exclaimed that she was indeed Jiang Mei, his long-lost cousin, and asked if she was truly the same person from his past. Jiang Mei confirmed their family connection, explaining that they are separated by 3 generations. She said that her decision to apply to Xijing University was purely for the sake of reconnecting with him. Jiang Ya, still reeling from the unexpected encounter, noted Jiang Mei's penchant for pranks, noting that she had not changed in 10 years. Leaning towards Jiang Ya's ear, Jiang Mei dropped a bombshell, revealing that she had been investigating him for a year and had already found clues about the incident that happened last year. Shock showed on Jiang Ya's face, his eyes widening as he realized this revelation. This unexpected twist adds intrigue and sets the stage for the unfolding narrative.